I swear these other podcasts are just a waste of time. I'm skipping through them, I'd rather listen and change my mind. Wes and Nick always help me through my daily grind. Your favorite guys, your favorite lines, change my mind. I swear these other podcasts are just a waste of time. I'm skipping through them, I'd rather listen and change my mind. Wes and Nick always help me through my daily grind. Your favorite guys, your favorite lines, change my mind. Yeah.
So, Nick, you're familiar with It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the episode with the gang? The gang exploits the gas crisis or fixes the gas crisis?
I'm not that familiar with it. Oh, wait a minute. Is that... No, I'm thinking of a different one. No.
Well, they discuss in that the dynamics of friendship and what friends assume what different characters. So you have like the face, the brains, the muscle, the wild card, etc. Those type of things. So, kind of based off of that thinking, which one would you be in your, childhood group of friends growing up?
So the face, the brain.
Well, not just necessarily those, but how do you fit in? What was your dynamic? What was your role? And those are just more examples as like a jumping off point.
I'd probably say somewhere between either the brain or the heart. I wouldn't say I'm the
brain
smartest.
Or the heart.
I wouldn't say I'm the smartest, but I'm very aware of other people's feelings.
Well, so I would say the brain would be like the ideas man, the one who kind of comes up with the ideas for the group, and then everyone else, follows suit.
My high school friends weren't necessarily the brightest bulb either, so that's
wow. Hopefully they're
bulbs.
not listening to this right now.
Yeah, it's fine if they are. They know. But I'd probably say more heart because that's kind of translated across everybody pretty much that I've come encounter with. What about you?
I think I'd be, the humor guy. The guy who's usually trying to break up, a fight with a joke or an argument with a little bit of a joke. Usually a little bit more laid back. Kind of goes with the flow sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we have, everyone kind of figures out their dynamics and how everyone kind of works with one another. And I always think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I could see you being the humor.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, so I would think, just kind of like...
You're definitely the funnier one here.
Hey, man, let's just go with the flow. Let's just kind of, there's no need to get upset.
Just relax.
Just relax, man.
We're fine.
Yeah.
I like you, man, but you're crazy.
Yeah. How about Tim? I know Tim's doing a couple things here. We got a new aesthetic with Tim Weisberg, the man in the chair here.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the YouTube's just a pain in the ass. So, I forgot to turn your mic on again. It's because it's been 2 weeks. Go ahead, Tim.
So I'm looking at the videos on the WBSM YouTube channel.
Sure.
And I'm seeing it in the second row. So you're not getting it on yours, huh?
Nope, not seeing it
You're
at
like
all.
35 rows down, but I'm seeing it in the second row. Hit refresh again. See if it...
I don't know what the hell's going on with
these technical issues.
It's so
That's what happens when you got live radio,
It's it's YouTube's fault.
Yeah,
it's definitely not ours.
They do so many
sure.
good things for us, but...
Yeah, I guess they can't be perfect, right? But yeah, no, Tim, I'm not getting it. So just email it to me, and then I'll tweet it out to everybody. But if you're listening to us on audio, whether it's...
the day after, or, on Geeks Worldwide, SoundCloud, or iTunes, or, of course, at Change My Mind Pod, which you can find on Apple or anywhere where you can find your download your favorite podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back, episode 22.
22,
the Deuce.
Oh, that was my number when I was in Little League growing up, and then high school, I think, for basketball.
I was a big fan of the number 22. Liked 21 a lot, too.
Why 21?
I don't know. I liked the look of it. 22 I liked, but it was kind of like a fat number.
22.
Yeah. It's a big, because it's 2 2s are very big that make up, on the jersey.
I could see that. The thing is that I always associated with Mark Pryor. Remember him from the Cubs?
Oh, of course.
And that dude he had some gigantic calves, so I just never would think of...
Well, that's what me and Mark Pryor have in common there.
Yeah, exactly. You got to get some high baseball socks and just walk around wearing them. You know what? When we play basketball, high socks. All you. Yep. Just no...
I'm ready. That's like all I own is high basketball socks.
I'm talking like up to above your calf, so it really accentuates.
Oh no, so that's like baseball socks at that point.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Some guys used to wear those, like T-Mac used to wear them, I think.
Yeah, but I also think those are like leg sleeves more than like high socks.
Yeah. Tim, I can just scooch my chair down a little bit.
No, that was totally Wes's fault when he threw his leg up on the counter.
Oh, sorry about that.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
It was
it was for emphasis.
We're on a like a feather over here on this camera.
Yes, a finely placed house
What are you
of cards.
doing?
Trying to fix the chair.
You were
man.
fine.
No, but I scooted down afterwards.
We are clearly out of our element here as we've been outside of the WBSM studios, of course, located in beautiful Fairhaven, Massachusetts for 2 weeks now.
Not being in pitch blackness outside the windows.
Right,
screws
so
you
yeah,
guys up,
it's no
too.
longer in the witching hour. We are out of the safe harbor, so I definitely have to tune up what I usually say. I, of course, am Wesley Sykes, and across the table from me is the Bernie Taupin to my Sir Elton John.
Oh,
Nick
really?
Fryer, yes.
You sure you're comfortable telling people that now?
Sir Elton John is a fantastic rock and roll star.
I don't think he understands the relationship between Bernie Taupin and Elton John.
That was his lover, correct?
No.
Oh, I thought it was. I assumed.
He was the songwriter and best friend.
See, people don't realize Elton John didn't write the lyrics to those songs.
Right.
Okay, I did not
But
know
had
that.
you seen Rocket Man like I did this past weekend, that would be a nice, because I did not know that coming into it. I always thought Elton John wrote his own stuff.
I'm very excited to hear your thoughts on this movie because I know you were excited once we saw the previews for it. You thought about
Big Elton John fan.
Really?
Yeah. And this is going to sound like a bit of revisionist history here, but, my parents can vouch for this. There was a time as a kid where I thought, of course, Elton John, gay man growing up, I that's all I knew him as. And, of course, the Tiny Dancer song, which has jumped up with popularity. I used to think it was Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza, because I was thinking like, well, he's from like the 80s. And
One of our interns thought the same thing.
Yeah, and it's a very common thing. But as a kid, I remember thinking that because he's a gay man. Tony Danza was, Who's the Boss fame. Like I thought that could have been, like a cry out to, the boss, the real boss.
The real boss.
Yeah.
Not George Steinbrenner.
No, or Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, that's Bruce Springsteen's nickname?
The boss, yeah.
Yeah.
How are you a baseball writer and you don't know anything about Bruce Springsteen?
I hate that whole narrative. And I'm not a baseball writer really anymore. All I write about is basketball.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. But that's what your bread and butter is. You cut your teeth on there.
Fair point.
The moment has passed now for me to do my Tony Danza impression.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
No,
it's allowed.
Yes, you brought it up.
Hey, Angela. Not bad, right?
That's pretty good. It's a little bit of a Rocky Balboa in there, but I get it. I can see it.
No, that's a Rocky's way more drawn out. I can't do a good Rocky.
Yeah. Did it! I could. That's one way to do it. Yeah. Favorite Tony Danza role? The garbage picking, field goal kicking Philadelphia phenomenon.
Sure.
He was also in Angels in the Outfield.
Of course.
He's quite the sports movie hero.
Wait, what was he in Angels in the Outfield?
I believe he was one of the pitchers.
He's one of the players on the team.
Oh, yep. Okay. I haven't seen that. I know we who is it that I drafted? It was Matthew McConaughey.
Yes, who stole that from me. He was actually flying on Angels' wings.
Yeah, that was a steal and a half right there.
Left fielder, if I'm not mistaken.
I had no idea that he was in that movie till we did the draft.
I know. Well, it's a really star-studded cast. If you think about it, I believe it was Joseph Gordon-Levitt who was in there as well, the little boy.
Donald Glover?
Donald Glover. No, Danny Glover.
Danny's the old one.
Yeah.
Okay, no relation either, right?
No relation.
Christopher Lloyd,
Yes.
Tony Danza.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty
That's good.
impressive cast
Matthew
right
McConaughey
there.
in there. I believe Adrian Brody's in that one too. That's a nice pull.
Oh, you're right. He is
Big-nosed
in that.
actor.
Well, I can't remember his role, but I remember looking it up
Yeah.
and seeing that. Yeah,
he's in there. Yeah.
that is an impressive cast.
How many Oscar winners are in Angels in the Outfield?
Right. Yeah, I know. Well, it's a good launching pad, of course.
Apparently, well, at some
Do
point,
we have the live stream up? If I may interject, do we have that going? Can
Yes.
I plug this net? Yeah.
Yes.
So, hopefully now that it's out there, you're following along on WBSM's 1420 AM's YouTube page. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I believe it's the second week in a row where we've had a live stream where you probably missed out on my fantastic calves.
Well, if you just, when it goes up afterwards, it's going to be saved as a regular
Right,
video. And
yeah.
you can go,
Okay,
it's
go
at the
back up.
very beginning.
The easiest way, if people want to know when you guys are going live with the show, is to subscribe to the WBSM YouTube channel, and then you will get an alert as soon as the show goes live.
That's
Yes.
a good point. What about on the app? Does that work there too? Does that
On
happen?
the WBSM app?
Yeah.
No.
Oh,
It's just through YouTube.
Okay.
Okay.
That's still.
We can set alerts. I just couldn't set an alert tonight because I still had news alerts scheduled.
Right.
Of course.
Yes, because we bumped it up.
We're a little bit earlier today.
yes.
We got busy schedules in our lives. We're all running around juggling multiple hats, I would say.
Yes, that's for damn sure. But what I was going to say real quick before we move on to the news was
Right.
at some point we got to do that basketball draft like we said. So if we get to a point where there's not a lot going on,
Sure.
I think that would be a good idea. But
maybe NBA free agency time. Well,
that's coming up next week.
Who knows? Well,
and we talked about that other idea maybe we want to do. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll toss it up.
Okay,
we'll toss it up here.
Toss up for sure. Okay, so what do we got
today? We're going to be breaking down, based off of a rousing Twitter conversation between Nicholas and I, the best movie soundtracks.
All
So
right.
that's something to really look forward to. So some real rousing soundtrack conversation here.
Thank you, Jamie Foxx.
Yes, of course. But before that, we have some new news. And I don't really know how I feel about this. Avengers Endgame is re-releasing in theaters and adding maybe 5 minutes of new never before seen footage.
This is a call to arms by Kevin Feige saying, guys, listen, we gotta beat Avatar. You don't like James Cameron. He's talked smack about all the superhero stuff. He wants it gone.
I feel like he's not even trying to hide it, what he's trying to do. It become like the most popular or the most seen and highly grossing film of all time.
I agree. I'm all about it. I support it fully. I might even go see it because I haven't seen it a second time myself. Haven't made time.
Well, see, okay, so that's a little bit understandable. If you've only seen it once, you want a chance to go back. So I have seen it twice.
Okay.
That's how...
Yeah, then why would you?
my life was at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But
Is that back? That was in April, right?
Yeah, in April. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It has been. Yeah. I haven't had that time. I don't even know. I don't know if I'll be able to do it now because we got Spider-Man coming up soon. We got possibly another movie this weekend that we might go see.
Right.
So it's.
Yeah, and it's all catching up, and everyone's got plans in the summer.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Pretty much. I would say so. That's a pretty fair statement. Yeah.
So I just think now if you go and see this because you just want to go see it again, I get it. But are people really going to jump back in and pay X amount of dollars to go see the 5 new minutes of footage? Is that if that's your driving force? Are you going to go and see? You know what I mean?
I wouldn't, but I feel like there is a decent chunk of people in America
you got
that
the stands. You got the Marvel stands and everything, which I get.
Yeah, it's 5 minutes though. I mean, seriously, if it's not 5 minutes of some kick-ass action or I don't know if something serious happens in the course of the movie, then and even then you can't go and have something serious happen. So it's got to be some awesome action. That's really it. Don't give me like 2 more minutes of jokes. That's not That's not enough. I'm sorry.
No, I want to see something significant. But if it was significant, it would have been left in there too.
But I'm sure there's some action sequences they could have afforded to leave out, right? I mean, that's usually some of the stuff that goes, maybe a joke here or there.
I would hope that would be more of the final fight scene.
Yeah, that's definitely
what I would imagine where they would do it.
Would you? So let's say you've seen it once, like I have. Would you then go see it a second time now that it's being re-released? Because I understand now you wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't go see it. Yeah. I'd wait. Is
it in any way because of the fact that Feige is basically saying, come on, guys, let's beat Avatar?
Yeah, it's a little like, we use this term a lot around here, a little too on the nose.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
It's a little shameful. It's like, put your hands out there, please. Just give me your money so we can be number one, because I'm sure I have somewhere in my contract, if I have the highest grossing film of all time, I probably get... a little bit of bonus, a little bit of kickback.
Do you think he needs more money, though? I think
if you have an opportunity to make more money, you work in the sports world.
Yep.
You're never going to turn it down.
No
matter how much money you make.
This is true, but I think it's more of a pride thing than anything else. He wants to beat Cameron. Now, let me ask you: with the new footage, you said it was 5 minutes. You believe it was?
Yeah, I would say at most, no more than.
So, what would be enough for you to look at it and say, "All right, this is worth my time"?
It would have to be something along the lines of like the BVS Snyder cut.
Okay. Which doesn't exist.
Right.
Oh.
But, if it was something like that's been highly touted after some time, and it's like, all right, well, now I want to see what his original thought process was. But if it's something as inconsequential as a few minutes and a couple extra fight scenes.
The Snyder stands out there?
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And I'm not sure if he's really, he's kind of problematic now. Hasn't he gotten canceled? Doesn't he have, maybe Tim can help us out with that.
He may be, but
I thought he came under some...
No, I think he's clean. Ratner's not.
Oh, yeah.
Ratner's
you mean like that? Oh, I don't think so.
Ratner's one that's a problem. But I don't know. I mean, I think part of the allure with trying to beat Avatar might be knowing that there's 2 new Avatars coming out.
Sure, yeah.
So it's kind of like when you've created this movie that is pretty much universally loved, and where you know that it's already going to be a big seller when it comes out on video, and it's kind of Like, what else? What other benchmarks are there? So I don't think it's necessarily like a cheap thing to re-release it. I think it's more like, let's just keep seeing where this can go.
You know what I should?
I guess then why not just leave it in theater?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I should have looked this up beforehand. I feel like Avatar was out forever when it came out, because when I saw it, it had been in theaters for a long time. It took a while for me to see it. So
right.
I wonder if it's like, let's match how many weeks it was out. We thought we could beat it without it. I thought they could beat it without it.
It was getting there, yeah.
It seemed like it out the gates. It was no questions asked. But Avatar just somehow sustained it over a period of time. I never checked that. But I would be curious if that's part of the reason why.
Yeah. I don't know. It just feels a little cheap to me. You had anything else you want to clean up on that?
No, I mean, I'm sure those 5 minutes will show up on YouTube.
Right, exactly.
Does that affect your opinion, though? Like, let's say that Avengers was in theaters for 10 weeks and Avatar was in for 13.
No, because I personally didn't like Avatar. It was a ripoff of Ferngully or
Pocahontas.
Pocahontas. Yeah, take your pick.
But what I mean is, if Avengers goes and says, if it's like, we're going to do 3 more weeks, just like Avatar did, have the same length may the best man win.
So you know what's going to happen next?
I guess.
Is Cameron's going to re-release Avatar.
Yeah, sure, right? Yeah.
We're going to get you ready for the sequels.
Yeah. They don't even have like stands for that, though, right? Like
there were people at the time who loved it. It was very
it.
much along the same lines as Avengers, where people were going multiple times and coming back into theaters to go see it again.
I mean, it was I liked it.
And it's a great think piece, and it means so much for on our current culture today. And
is that what people said?
That's what I remember. I remember there was a lot of nose turning to it.
We go pretty in depth on stuff on this podcast. I was a kid when that came out, as were you.
Right. We didn't have a podcast back in.
No, but I just never. I mean, even looking back on it now, it's like, yeah, I see how there are some deeper things, but a think piece. That's where. We get in depth on this show, but man, I hate the fart sniffers who are just like, this is a in-depth commentary on the society and the problems that we have in American culture and the separation between races. I just come on, man. Like, you want to talk about that stuff, fine, but just don't sound like a dink when you do it.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's so stupid. But there's some other Marvel news, too, that came out, right?
Very interesting. I mean, this has got to be the hottest guy in the Hollywood showbiz right now.
Mind-blowing.
Kevin Feige says he's been in talks with Keanu Reeves about somehow incorporating him into the MCU. Is anybody having like a better resurgence, kind of a second run go round in Hollywood than Keanu Reeves his last?
Not that I can think of right now.
I don't know, 5 years, 6 years.
Stallone's had a pretty decent resurgence.
Sure, yeah.
This
Creed.
is different, though.
Yeah.
This is different, for sure.
It's very rare that you get somebody that's universally beloved. And he's at Tom Hanks status right now.
Oh, yeah.
Where like everybody loves him, and it helps that, he's such a good guy in real life.
You ever see him take photos with women? He has his arms around, but he never touches. He kind of has that like force field, or
really?
Keeps the hands closed and like.
He's and by the way, the fact that he is willing to go back and do Bill and Ted, which they just started filming,
right?
Bill and Ted 3, like that just shows that he's humble when he recognizes his roots. And but I think it's very interesting to see the reaction that people have to him when he's never really gone away.
No. But he dipped. He had a little dip there.
Well, I think because he got artsy,
right,
to some degree, and I think now he's kind of like, I'm just gonna make popcorn movies.
But it's really like a third career arc if you think about it, right? Because he had like the Point Break fame, and then I feel like it dipped a little
like
bit.
Late
and
90s,
then,
Johnny Mnemonic and all that stuff kind of people were down on him.
But he was it late 90s, early 2000s with the Matrix movies,
and then he was doing some romantic movies with that. And then he kind of
came back with John Wick.
Went away a little bit, and John Wick brought him back.
But my question is, where do you see him playing? What role do you see him? What's your breakdown? What's your scouting report of Feige here?
If you follow Boss Logic on Instagram or Twitter, he's one of the more impressive artists out there. He does a lot of stuff with Marvel. He does a lot of basketball stuff too. He's done some mock-ups of Keanu as Wolverine, but he's done a lot of people as Wolverine
I
too.
can kind of see that.
That's one that we get a lot, but I don't know how tall Keanu Reeves is, and I can pull it up in a second.
I feel like he's tall.
I feel like we actually talked about this like the last time we didn't do a a visual portion of the show, not last episode but prior, and I think he's like 6'1". I don't want that. I mean, I want a good actor for Wolverine, don't get me wrong, but I'd like a guy who's a little bit shorter in this case, just because that's what Wolverine is. There are certain features with characters that are important. There are some that aren't. Like, other than that, I don't care what Wolverine looks like. He's got to be a little hairy, but I mean,
he's got to be muscular too, and I think he's more, slim, athletic than muscular.
Right.
You nailed it on the 6'1".
Okay.
But an inch shorter than Hugh Jackman.
And okay, that's good. But I mean, in Hollywood though, Tim,
they played Hugh Jackman shorter than he really was though too.
I felt
you
like
could do that. You can make that happen. That's all camera.
They citizen caned him. Yeah.
Did you feel like Hugh Jackman was short?
I was able to sustain my level of disbelief.
Okay,
with
fine.
that, because I thought he just portrayed everything else very well about.
He wasn't
Wolverine.
Short. He just wasn't tall.
It didn't bother me that much. I would just like to see someone who's a little bit, more on the shrimpy side. But even then, like that, yes, you're right. It's not a huge deal. The guy who I want to see, and I saw, I don't remember. It might have been Casey Walsh, editor at Geeks Worldwide. It might have been him, but somebody definitely proposed Moon Knight. I would love to see.
Oh yeah, that could be interesting.
I think
he's got the gun work.
Yep, and he's in the whole thing with the being insane. I'm curious how Keanu would portray that. Dealing with the multiple personalities, because Keanu is usually kind of one.
Right.
So part of me thinks that he could do Mark Spector well, but I don't know about the other characters. So I'm right now that's kind of where I'm at. I'm trying to figure out if that would work. What do you got?
So I thought Magneto could be an interesting choice. That wasn't my first thought, but when you brought up Wolverine, I was like, whether they're X-Men, maybe a Cyclops. If you're introducing them from another dimension, kind of entering the going off of Avengers Endgame where the different timelines were opened up. Maybe that's possible. But those were two kind of last minute things that I thought of. The first initial one, and you kind of mentioned it with his tonality and kind of flat levelness. Is the Silver Surfer.
Yep, that one I think would work.
You could bring the surfboard from Point Break.
I feel like personally, I'm not a huge Silver Surfer fan. Now maybe that's maybe you go and maybe having Keanu play that role makes him a little bit more entertaining for some people. I feel like it would be wasting the character. I like your Cyclops call.
I think the Silver Surfer is like one of the best things about Fantastic Four.
Yeah, but I don't like Fantastic Four.
Then you got him. You got Doctor Doom. You said they want to bring in. I think it's pretty obvious that they want to bring in Galactus and somehow. So I think, timeline wise, I think that plays out.
I don't think
the other name I heard thrown out, and I don't really know him from the Contest of Champions, is Sentry.
I don't know Sentry well.
Yeah, but I saw that floating around. Someone throw that idea on Twitter. I forget who.
I don't know if he's an Eternal, but I've seen him thrown around for Eternals too. Like that's so maybe that's what it is. But you guys don't think he couldn't pull off? Because you bring up Fantastic Four, I think of Doom. I think of Reed Richards. I mean, Reed Richards is a guy who I think Krasinski I'd like to see play because it's a.
And that's been floated around so much that it just feels like the right fit too.
Right.
It feels like you already kind of know him as that because you've seen so many artist renderings and different photoshops of him.
It makes sense, but do you don't think Keanu could play either Doctor Doom or Reed Richards? Right. I'm trying to kind of wish that.
I think he could be Doctor Doom.
If of any of the two.
The thing is they're not going to put him in an ensemble. Because he's Keanu Reeves.
Right.
So he's going to be somebody who's going to be his own standalone hero that will either be the main centerpiece of a film or will just be a cameo.
Okay.
And so it's got to be one or the other. It's not going to be somebody who's kind of middling as part of a team. So I could see him as Ghost Rider.
That could be interesting, yeah.
And it's got to be a main... it's got to be a brand unto itself.
A titular character,
yes, it can't be somebody in obscurity. It's got to be somebody that is, that's why Silver Surfer might work because it would,
he's
whatever the whole
hero. You can bring him in as like an antagonist early on who comes over and then he works his way in.
And the whole movie would hinge on his performance,
right?
And that's what it's going to have to be. It's like, it's like you wouldn't put Johnny Depp in a ancillary role in a film,
right?
And Keanu Reeves has that same kind of screen presence.
Well, Adam Warlock, that's another name that's been floating around for Guardians Volume 3.
Oh,
that hasn't hit.
Yeah, you've been dying for Adam.
I'm a big Adam Warlock fan. I like that. I like the idea of that.
Okay, yeah, I mean that could work too. I'm a Moon Knight guy, so that's why I'd like to see that. And Keanu seems to pull off everything well. I've been sitting on that one for a little bit, trying to figure out if it would work.
I'm not sure how Moon Knight works his way in, because they've obviously made a concerted effort to go more cosmic and into space. And I'm not sure what Moon Knight's. Yeah, he's more of like a Defenders type.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't know. Knowing that too, them slowly moving towards cosmic, I don't like that.
Yeah,
that's. I mean, I'm going to watch the movie still, but I'm not going to be as into it as much because...
Well, you think about what the main properties that they have are now are, Guardians.
Yep.
You still have Thor in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
You have Captain Marvel, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where everything... How do you utilize those characters best for everyone, myself included, who said, the misuse of Captain Marvel in Endgame, obviously it's tough to kind of know what you're working with when you make Endgame before Captain Marvel. But, that's how you utilize them at their full potential, those characters, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I just don't like the cosmic characters much, and I feel like most people are in alignment with me on that one, because you look at the characters that do so well.
Guardians are cosmic. I think that's one of their best properties.
They did well, but I mean, I'm just talking about all time. You look at Iron Man. I know he could be cosmic, but he's not a cosmic character.
No.
Batman, and I know it's DC, obviously, but not a cosmic character. Because you go into cosmics, you start dealing with some overpowered characters who aren't maybe as relatable. Guardians
are well known to the general audience either.
Right, and you look at Guardians. Why do they do so well? Well, I think as much as I love Rocket and he's my guy, you're not doing well without the Earth guy. As much as he turned into a part celestial. I mean, without Peter Quill.
Sure.
You're not doing as well, Chris Pratt. By the way, real quick, I just checked on Box Office Mojo how long Avatar was in theaters and how long Avengers Endgame was. So Avengers Endgame was in for 8.6 weeks, 60 days, which whatever. How long do you think Avatar was in theaters? I know I'm putting you guys on the spot right here.
Well, watching it felt like a week.
I would say 16 weeks.
It was 2 hours and 40 minutes long. 16 weeks. Okay, Tim, what do you think it was?
I'd say not that long. That seems like a long time. 4 months in a theater.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'd say probably.
I'll stick with it.
I'd say 10 weeks.
Wes was closer. It was in there for 34 weeks.
Whoa.
238 days.
Okay, see?
Are they counting like the Bijou in Fairhaven, like the discount theaters?
It must be, yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, but it says here on Box Office Mojo, release date December 18th, close date August 12th, obviously December of 2009, and then August of 2010.
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure I saw it towards that, like the July portion of that, maybe June. It felt like it was in the summer when I saw that movie. So, yeah. I mean, we go by Box Office Mojo on most stuff.
That's true. I trust that's the one to go to.
And if I can go back to Nick's point that he made about the cosmic films and Guardians doing well, I think that was an outlier for the idea of having these cosmic lesser known characters.
Yeah.
Because I heard they were doing a Guardians movie and I was like, nobody's going to go see that because nobody knows those characters.
Right.
It was the performances in that film that made it a success. And so I think they got lucky.
But I also think it was how they were able to do it and how they were able to present it as well. If you can do it in a way that's relatable and that kind of keeps these characters grounded in some way, I think that is their jumping off point, their foundation. So if we can make the Guardians of the Galaxy, no one really knew about, there was this lesser comic, then if you have someone like the Silver Surfer, Adam Warlock, Sentry, some of these different characters.
Thor's a perfect example of what it is that they have to do. What Wes
they have a higher base.
Thor is an overpowered character, but the second that they turn him into a relatable guy, and you're relying a ton on his performance and how he kind of changes the interpretation of the character, then he just becomes much more successful. And now he skyrockets to people's people's power rankings for characters in the MCU.
So Keanu Reeves just popped into my head for two potential characters that he could be, and both of them are frontline characters, but they just are buried with other Marvel properties right now.
Okay.
He could either be Daredevil or the Punisher.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Punisher, where you see John Wick, that's an easy.
That might be too, as Wes would say, on the nose.
Yes,
but I could see him being either character.
Daredevil, yeah, I could see that.
I don't. Maybe as Daredevil. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I liked Charlie Cox as Daredevil, but I felt like he was too whiny at times. So maybe I would like Keanu Reeves a little more.
But he's the best, portrayal that we've had of Daredevil.
We've had two portrayals.
Well, yeah.
Why?
He's the best.
Who's the other one?
Ben Affleck.
Yeah, and
Charlie Cox.
No, there's been three. You keep forgetting about the trial of the Incredible Hulk, Nick. They're on YouTube. You can watch them for free.
It's fantastic, yeah.
The Trial of the Incredible Hulk and the Return of the Incredible Hulk.
That. You have no idea what he's talking about. Tim, switch the camera off my face. You have it on just me right now.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm terrible at directing tonight.
No, it's okay. I don't. When is that from?
Those are the the 1970s
Show?
Incredible Hulk TV series.
Okay. When
they brought it back as some TV movies in the 80s. And in the first movie, The Incredible Hulk Returns, he teamed up with Thor. And I believe against Kingpin. And then in the third movie, or maybe the third movie they went against Kingpin, but in the third movie it was the Trial of the Incredible Hulk.
This is on YouTube.
And Daredevil was his lawyer.
Oh, okay.
Was it Daredevil or was it Matt Murdock?
Well, Matt Murdock was his lawyer, but Daredevil, yes, Daredevil is in the movie.
Yeah. I mean, my thing is that, I don't know, I just always felt like Daredevil was a little bit more badass, but I think it's a me issue.
He's pretty badass in this Hulk movie.
Is he?
It's probably a better portrayal than Ben Affleck.
I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, Wes? How he's like, so he gets so whiny at times.
Yeah, he's a little whiny. You know, you know how I feel about the Netflix Marvel TV shows. I think they're a bit of a slog as it was, but yeah, I would say that's right.
It's because they don't mean anything.
Well, yeah, and they're just too long.
Yep. Yeah, but I mean, even what was it? Wasn't Daredevil season 2 a little shorter than the other ones?
It could have been. It's all washed together at this point.
Anyway, but you had one last thing, a last bit of news before we got into the comic
so
stuff,
there's a reason why I brought up It's Always Sunny from the top in the opening question here. It's been on my mind, if you will.
Ooh.
Season 14 of It's Always Sunny started filming.
14.
Had a release date set of September 25th on FXX. Personally, my favorite show on TV. I'm not sure if you watch it all that much. I believe Tim does.
Huge fan.
Glenn Howerton is expected to be in this entire season, which I thought was one of the key components of that kind of made season 13 not as enjoyable.
How often was he in there, would you say?
How often?
Yeah, in that
the last one?
Yeah.
I thought he was in every episode.
But like sparingly. And he wasn't in the final one.
I'll have to go back and watch them.
Yeah.
I just remember the first one where
he wasn't in the first one until the end, but he's kind of in some of them, and he's kind of out because he was filming AP Bio, so he was kind of in and out. And I think when they came out ahead of season 13 saying that he wasn't going to be involved, I think they kind of listened to some of the backlash and retconned him back into a couple scenes.
I love the way they did it in the first episode of the season.
That's the one where he's like, "Oh, hey guys, I'm back."
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
Wow, that feels like that was a long time ago. Jeez.
But to me, he's the linchpin of the show. He's the reason why I watch. He's I think the best developed character, and of course, we've kind of talked about this, and I'm sure a lot of places that have covered It's Always Sunny say they, start out as multifaceted characters, and then they eventually just lynch onto one trait and extrapolate that over the course of the next 10, 11, 12 seasons. Mm-hmm. The one person who I will say probably gets the most normal was Charlie Day.
Yeah.
Who was the oddball, the weirdest one, the most off the wall one to start.
Although the Super Bowl one.
Right. Yeah.
That was totally Charlie.
Yeah, that's a good one there. But also noteworthy of It's Always Sunny, crossing over to the Seems Legit podcast content here.
Thank you.
Rob McElhaney, Mac. Finally got his catch with Chase Utley this past week.
So happy for him.
He threw out the first pitch at the Philadelphia Phillies game, and of course, Chase Utley was there, so kind of fulfilling a lifelong dream to have a catch with his friend. Maybe they became like a father-son duo.
I think they hugged.
Yeah,
and they didn't stick their butts out either when they hugged. Too.
Right? No. They pressed up one another firmly.
Oh, yeah. It was real. It was a real passionate hug, and I wonder if Chase Utley really had much of an idea of what the hell was why it was such a big deal.
Well, no, because he's been in the show before.
Has he been in the show?
He's been involved with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he has. Okay, because he didn't seem really that into it, but I think that's also Chase Utley. I
think he's just even keeled.
Yeah, we'll call it even keeled. I think he's also a bit of an a-hole. I could be wrong though.
It could be.
Yeah, but
Chase Utley, former Cape Leaguer, of course.
Is he?
Believe so. I believe he played for Chatham Anglers, then the Athletics.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that a lot of those guys are former Cape Leaguers anyways.
Sure. 1 out of 6 current major leaguers, actually.
1 out of 6?
Yeah.
You know what's fun? And then 1 out of 3 people on the Change My Mind podcast are former Cape Leaguers too.
Yeah, Tim, tell me about your time.
Yeah, please do.
It was a lost season.
Yeah.
Wasn't Summer Catch based on you? Is that right? Freddie Prinze Jr.?
Was there a fat friend in that movie that didn't get any of the girls and
I think
was always just eating and drinking beer?
Better pitching form than Freddie Prinze Jr.
That might be true.
Jeez.
I'm basically the sidekick character that's always like, you guys want to see me eat all these sausages?
What's the movie? Varsity Blues.
Varsity Blues.
Yeah.
Billy Bob.
Yeah.
Billy Bob. So yeah, I think that just about does it for the news. What do you got for your comic book minute?
Big
here?
week. Okay, so The Silencer 17 is out, and you guys know that I love this series.
Did you get some love from the writer on that?
No, that was oh man, what was it? The No One Left to Fight.
Yes.
That's a new book coming out, not this week
That you reviewed
but
last week.
Exactly, and it was a spoiler-free review, kind of focusing more on the themes and what they're hitting on, familiarizing people with the characters. That's coming out in 2 weeks? Or no, sorry, in a week. And that's going to be a Dark Horse Comics. I highly recommend it to everybody. But The Silencer 17 is DC Comics. That's coming out this week. That's the last issue of The Silencer. That was part of the whole new age of DC heroes. And, I mean, I didn't read the other ones, but I'm real bummed that this is done. I don't know if they're going to try and bring the character back in some way later on, Wes. But what I did want to ask you about with this is when it comes, and Tim, you too, so with No One Left to Fight, right? That's Dark Horse Comics. You know, you can do it with Image, things like that. Bringing in new characters, new stories. I feel like it's a lot easier. Whereas with this is a DC property where you already have the characters that are ingrained into the stories. The same thing with Marvel. I know that you get like a Squirrel Girl or Ironheart, who's a Iron Man kind of took over for Iron Man.
Is that the daughter Morgan?
No, it's a different character named Riri Williams. And I'm curious, do you have it like? Are you interested in, when it comes to the movies or shows, are you interested in new characters who maybe don't have as long as a run in the books?
Well, so I think part of what makes this show nice is that you have that comic book background, and I don't.
Right.
So it really doesn't mean anything to me. Kind of going back to that Guardians of the Galaxy conversation. If it looks good, if I like the actors involved, then I'm going to go see it anyway, especially more so if it's a Marvel property. And even with, like, I'll go out and do the same thing with the new Suicide Squad movie that James Gunn is heading up there. Not going to have the same characters in the original Suicide Squad that came out, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, whatever, 4 or 5, whatever it is at this point.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But I don't know, like Michael Rooker's going to be in there as like Sharkman, I think was one of them. And it's going to be different type of characters.
Bronze Tiger, which would be great.
Yeah, so like, again, I know nothing about those characters, but if you give me a good actor or someone that I have, on a past experience with, I guess, for lack of a better term, and I kind of have a past experience on the director and his kind of vision for things, then I'll go and watch it. Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Tim? Because you've been around around comics longer than I have. Do you have room for like new characters that get brought up kind of out of left field?
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with it because I think that you stale out with some of these Marvel characters have been around forever.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you can reimagine them in a different way, I don't see it as a negative. I know like everybody was flipping out about, Miles Morales as Spider-Man and all that kind of stuff, but I remember, I was there for the 2099 launch when everybody was getting so excited about they were taking these characters, 100 years into the future, and we were going to see they were going to be different people and they were going to have different powers and different storylines and different enemies and all that.
Right.
And it was, it was a little risky, but I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed seeing the same essence, but just with a different way to tell the story.
So I think Spider-Man 2099 was at the end of what was this? Into the Spider-Verse. I think. Did you see the outfit? It was primarily blue with a little bit of red in it.
It has like long red.
I can't recall that
I'll show it to you after.
offhand, but yeah.
It's a sick look. But anyways, I was curious what you guys thought about that. Batman Damned, which is a DC Black Label, Batman Damned 3, is out. That's the book where you see his male member.
Oh,
that was the first issue, I believe.
Very controversial.
Exactly. So there'll be...
have I asked you this before?
Yes.
Is he packing?
You asked me this, and it's flaccid. When you see it.
That's right. We did have this conversation.
Exactly.
Right. Just wanted to jog my memory.
Thrower, not a shower.
I got it. Yeah, I definitely buy it. But it looks like
not body shaming here.
Looked like there was some girth to it, though. I'll give them that.
Okay, good.
So,
nice.
But the last one, Image Comics Spawn 298, is out this week, and the reason that's important, obviously, Spawn 301 is a huge issue. That'll be the longest running indie comic title when Todd McFarlane hits 301. 298 is supposedly the start of the setup for the story in 300 and 301. So I would, if you've been off Spawn for a little bit and you want to get in on the event, I would start reading this week again.
Okay.
What do you got for me to stay woke about, Wes?
10 years ago today.
10 years ago, okay.
Michael Jackson.
Oh, boy.
The king of pop passed away. Said goodbye to a king.
Wow, 10 years.
10 years ago, right? Feels like it was just yesterday. The polarizing pop star was beloved for his music and vilified for his alleged molestation of young boys.
I'm not laughing at that part.
What? Feels like it was just yesterday?
Yeah, I was laughing at that.
There are a number of conspiracy theories surrounding the late king of pop. A few of them, mostly surrounding his death, like I said. Many believe his death was staged and that he's still alive. And there's been, sightings, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. And this was done in an attempt to avoid bankruptcy and the ire of media amidst his child molestation lawsuits. Others say he was murdered by none other than the Illuminati for being outspoken in his later years about the shady dealings of the music business. While some argue that he was a pawn or false idol of the Illuminati who used his death as a means to divert people's attention from real important issues that are going on in the world. A constant, regular move in the conspiracy theory world that the Illuminati takes part in. Do you have any thoughts on these Michael Jackson conspiracy theories? But actually, you know what? Hold that. You can let it sit on it, let it marinate for a minute. Prior to recording, Tim had some fantastic conspiracy theories.
He's a big Jackson guy.
Well, listen, I was just saying that, I was listening to Man in the Mirror. And because even though, he did heinous things, apparently, I still enjoy
It's
the
a
music.
Fantastic song.
And as I'm listening to it, he sounds so different from the Thriller to the Bad album. Mm-hmm. And it was the Bad album where all this weird stuff really, really started. I mean, he was weird before, but it got really weird with Bad. So I just started letting it go in my mind. Like, what if the Michael Jackson from Bad on wasn't the same Michael Jackson? That would explain the skin discoloration.
Not a doppelganger or not like a replacement like the Avril Lavigne.
Yeah, we're not
something.
We're not talking like Billy Shears taking over for Paul McCartney.
Right.
Which we have to do a show on that sometime.
I'm very interested.
But the idea that he got stranger because he wasn't a real human being. I think that maybe it was some sort of an android type creature.
Oh my God, I love it.
And that's why the plastic surgery would happen and why his nose would fall off in the middle of an interview because he was an android.
Wait,
and they hadn't figured out the technology yet.
But I can't figure out why an android would molest kids. That's the part I can't get my mind
Wait.
Okay. Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly, first of all. Second, his nose actually fell off in the middle of the interviews. That was a thing?
I don't think it actually happened in the middle of an interview, but if you look at some of the interviews from him, he had less and less nose. He started to look more and more like a corpse.
But he did catch on fire in the Pepsi commercial.
Right.
Was that a malfunction or did he
Well, that would have been the original Michael Jackson still.
That the time didn't work. I thought he was bleached at that point.
No, that was still that was around the time of the Victory Tour.
Okay.
So 1984. So if you look at 1986 on Michael Jackson, it's same but different. Mm-hmm. And I think that might have been, in 1985, he might have had a meeting perhaps with the Illuminati and said, listen, I've got this idea. I don't need to perform. I can train this android robot to do all of my moves. And then of course the android robot having robot skills just went beyond what, original Michael Jackson could do. And then from there, something happened. It malfunctioned somehow and was, instead of, hanging out with little kids, it was hanging out in front of little kids. And then we had what happened. So.
Well, and we've seen what happens in your classic robot stories, that the robot becomes smarter and too powerful and then starts thinking on its own. Right. And making decisions for itself.
I don't know if this robot did that because whoever said it's a good idea to make a long-form music video with Chris Tucker to promote your latest single.
I'm not sure. I think that's a fantastic idea.
Not at that time. But the
Chris Tucker?
Yes, from Rush Hour. And Friday.
No, he was on the NBA award show the other night, and it was painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm a big Chris Tucker fan.
Did you watch that?
No.
Yeah,
Why would I watch
think
a
Chris
show
Tucker's
about
also one of
awards
those
that
people that's gone
I'm just
insane.
going to read about anyway.
Yeah.
Doesn't he also like believe in all kinds of crazy conspiracy theories and he doesn't leave his
could.
house?
He
Chris
could. I mean, he's
Tucker?
good friends with Michael Jackson, so maybe he got uploaded some information to him.
So I don't know. This whole
Well, there's also claims out there. Who is Michael Jackson's daughter?
Paris.
Paris, yes, Paris Jackson. That she was sending out a bunch of tweets that were cryptic enough to the idea that would jump people off that he was murdered by the Illuminati or some sort of involvement going on there, and that she attempted suicide, and that attempted suicide was in a way to alarm people of Michael Jackson's death that was impending.
Listen, if anybody was into some weird stuff, it was the Jacksons because they were Jehovah's Witnesses. So
well, there you go.
they had some relationship in being in that kind of a cult like mentality.
Right.
Sorry, any Jehovah's that are listening to the show, but
Yeah, well, they don't have fun anyway. So
and that's where I wonder if maybe there wasn't some programming at some point that he
Right.
wasn't some kind of a Manchurian candidate in some fashion.
oh, see, and that's also some hot stuff there. Now, Tim, you seem you're processing all this right now.
You mean Nick? Talking to me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I
Yes.
am-
I'm looking at
yeah,
you
yeah.
and Tim.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm thoroughly rattled. I don't know. I'm not going to come up with a better theory than what Tim
Well, do you have
has.
any thoughts on all this?
I think the fact that them having a robot and having that kind of technology it would have been the 80s, right? Not the 90s?
Well, yeah,
It doesn't have to necessarily be a robot. It could be a person that is made to look like Michael Jackson.
I mean, I guess that's...
A la like a Winter Soldier, like the brain control sort of thing.
I guess that's possible. I mean, the Avril Lavigne one I do buy into.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily buy that that's her because she's gotten that whole bubblegum kind of pop thing
Yeah.
going on now, and she was it the skater girl last time or was it
See you
skater
later.
boy? Skater
Yeah,
boy
But
was
she
this
wasn't
one.
really. She worked with the Matrix, which was the producer duo that was making all those pop hits. Like she wasn't a real punk or anything.
Okay.
No, that's garbage.
No, that's like studio produced.
Yeah, she was punk like a kid that shops at Hot Topic is a punk.
Okay, then maybe I don't buy into it as much. But yeah, I mean, the whole Michael Jackson thing, maybe not being dead necessarily, I could buy into that.
Well, you got your Elvises, you got your Tupacs.
But here's the thing.
Illuminati freaks me out, man.
So-
Tupac put out multiple albums after he died.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think there was even a Biggie album after he died,
Yeah.
right? But Michael Jackson put out one
Life After
album
Death.
after he died. Well, that one he was recording when he died, so that's. But the Michael Jackson put out one posthumous album, and they actually broke it down and said straight out it was a fake. So they hired somebody that was kind of like a sound-alike to record these songs. So if he was alive, I think it would be he would want to put out that posthumous album that was actually him.
Right, and some of the deep cuts are things that were on the cutting room floor that never made other albums.
Or especially since his last album, Invincible, was not so well received.
Of course. Well, at that point, I think the public perception of him had really waned.
Yes, it's like you are a
You
child
think?
molester. We are not.
Well,
buying your
yeah,
album.
but I think for a long period of time that you could separate the man from the music, or the man from the music, yeah.
Well, you
Almost like you could do with Kanye
But
West.
you only
Like you may
could-
not agree with what he does as a person, but you may still like his music, which I would think I fall into that category.
Yeah, but
Right.
Kanye West is different.
very different.
Yeah.
Not to compare.
But
one
I
of
think
those
the problem
people,
was
You
know.
can
people-
compare them. I don't like either of them that much.
People didn't
Well,
want to
you know.
believe it with Michael Jackson. And
Right.
I was still somebody that was like, well, I don't know if I really buy into it. But then when you watched, the documentary that just came out,
and how real.
and it really hits home, like, wow,
Yeah.
like this guy is a predator.
Yeah.
And so then it's a little bit different. But then again, I've also gone back and questioned those two guys now, because there's been enough doubt that's been created to say, well, maybe they're not telling the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough thing to say, and I mean, it's tough to compare Kanye West to what he says on his political rants or what have you to grab attention and possibly molesting children.
And also because Kanye West doesn't know what he's talking about most of the time.
Right.
Michael Jackson definitely knew about kids' bodies.
I think.
So
I think
yes.
if you're going to compare Kanye to anybody in terms of how he approaches things, not necessarily the same viewpoint, but I think Kyrie Irving is actually a pretty fair comparison. A lot
To
of,
Kanye?
yeah, a lot of times they feel like they know what they're talking about and they really have no
Right.
idea. I mean, Kyrie loves to use what is it? Our friend Brendan Curie says he loves it. Was it the word of the day calendar?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah. Just rips it. Oh, okay. And and maybe not exactly have a complete grasp of how to use said word.
Wasn't it you that sent in that on our group
husband
text?
is a philanderer.
The
Nobody's gonna get that reference.
No.
It's a very 80s reference. Who's Harry Crumb?
Oh,
John
yeah.
Candy looks at the word of the day calendar. Your husband is a philanderer.
But isn't there one where Kanye says like Nietzsche or something like that, and it says nothing?
Well, it's Kyrie, but yeah.
Oh, is that Kanye?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I meant Kyrie, but yeah, it was used Nietzsche, and it's like talking about playing basketball. You can't use Nietzsche in any context, I think, with basketball where it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a way that you can do it. You know, you have a certain niche there, and so what you know, you do well.
Sorry, yes, niche. But the way he used it in that sentence didn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if the article is the best source of information that I sent either. It was more at a poking fun at the article as much as it was
poking fun at Kyrie.
Of what Kyrie was saying.
Gotcha.
Also, in this day, speaking of Kanye West, now I'm confusing the two here. It was shortly after Michael Jackson's death where he thought it was appropriate to come out and say, with the permission of the Jackson family, I would like to assume the new king of pop role. And it was like weeks after like his death, and people were still like and they're like, come on, Kanye, let's take it easy here. Yeah.
That dude is so weird. How can you be that big and famous? I mean, I know
he's delusional.
Let's hold on. I mean, as much as it's stupid, like so was Michael Jackson being the king of pop. He gave himself that name. That wasn't something that was bestowed upon him.
Did he?
Yeah, he just decided, like, I'm going to start calling myself the king of pop, and started asking that he be referred to that in interviews.
Yeah, but that's different than he took it for himself, but Kanye's asking if he can be the new king of pop, and after some guy just died.
But Michael Jackson did the same thing to Elvis, because Elvis was the king of rock and roll, so Michael Jackson's like, well I'm bigger than Elvis, I got to be the king of pop. So it's. But
had Elvis just died, or was Elvis dead for?
Elvis never died. He works at Burger King.
You know what I mean? Like, they supposedly
Michael
died.
Jackson. Michael Jackson's a fry cook.
Had he supposedly died, like right then when he brought it up?
No.
Yeah, and Kanye being a voice of generation too.
But it also was right around the time he started banging Elvis's daughter, so there's that too.
Oh
yeah.
Wow.
A little bit of revenge there. I think there was some small ulterior motives on Michael Jackson.
Banging. Well, I don't know if robots have genitals.
Well, yeah, and they didn't they have like a kiss on like the MTV Movie or Music Awards or something, and it was like very pursed lips, and like it was very
you could see the space
People
between
were
their
wondering like had they ever kissed before, and they're like, no, we're dating, we do it, and then it's like,
yeah, there was you could see the space between their mouths.
Yeah.
Eesh.
It was like somebody trying to kiss me on stage. Like, I don't want to get too close.
Oh yeah.
Now they want to get real close without that beard.
Self-deprecating.
Yeah, no beard. Now they want to get real close.
No beard, shaved head. He was a real woodsman when I last saw him, and now he's kind of studly.
Maybe I've been replaced by an android.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
well, you are making a lot more sense than usual.
That is a good point.
So rest in peace, Michael Jackson. After we just
rest in peace, you dirty child
his
molester.
Name. Yeah. Main topic. You want to get into it?
Yes. So we're going to talk about soundtracks this week.
Yes. It all started with a tweet.
Yes, from Jamie Foxx.
Like most great debates do, I would say, these days.
Honestly, you're joking, but you're also
I think I'm pretty serious. Though, same way. Of course, you mentioned Jamie Foxx there. He had a tweet that said, "Best soundtracks of all time. Go #beat Shazam." Of course, he's the host of that game show,
which
Beat Shazam.
I've never watched.
Neither. I've heard of it.
I'm not a game show person.
Right.
But.
Not Jeopardy guy? You weren't watching Jeopardy James Hauser?
No, not even remotely interested in it.
Wow.
If someone said, Nick, you have to watch one game show for the rest of your life, Jeopardy would be in consideration, and probably the Shazam show. Beat Shazam. I think that's actually pretty, because I definitely have that where
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? You didn't get caught up as that as a kid? Or maybe that passed you by, because I remember that as a kid, I used to love that.
I remember that being around as a kid.
Like the Regis Philbin, like sweeps week going nuts, not like the English woman who came on, and when it was on like daytime, you'd watch it when you're sick, sort of thing.
I remember Regis being on it, yeah, for sure.
Price is Right?
Price is Wrong. I don't want to say it.
You didn't watch that show?
Nope. I know it. I mean, I'm familiar with it.
Good documentary on Netflix.
Show.
Family Feud.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah, Family Feud's another great. As I'm saying this right now, big game show guy.
I feel like you told me that before.
Yeah.
Have you watched the Shazam one?
I have not. Now I don't really watch much network television or anything anymore. So now it's just like
snob.
Prestige TV and Netflix shows.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. That pretty much sums up Wes in a word.
Yeah, snobby. Yeah. Well, speaking of snobby, the Nick's quote tweet here, which sparked this whole debate. He replies with Paul Bettany and with Russell Crowe playing a symphony and Master Commander is my favorite movie soundtrack.
Underrated
movie.
This,
by the way, comes just days after when we were recording our podcast at my house in lovely Buzzards Bay, and upon entering, he says, "Oh, you don't have to chill red wine, huh? Once you open it." This is the type of airs that we're putting on here.
So I had a wine bottle that I got from my aunt when I first moved into my condo, and I had her over.
Which was when?
That was January.
Okay.
And I hadn't finished it. And then it was the other day, I was like, you know what? It's there, and I kind of have a night off. I'm going to finish this off.
The other day, June.
Yeah. It's some point mid-June. And I went and poured it, and then I tasted it, and I was like, oh!
No, very acidity, very high alcohol points at that content.
It was bad.
Yeah, there's probably some vegetation growing in there.
Well, I didn't. You know what? Maybe I did feel a little bit of that, but it was bad. It was not good, so I threw that out right away.
You maybe get a week to 10 days after an open bottle of wine.
Didn't know that.
Whether it's you might be able to extend that a little bit more if it's white wine. Mm-hmm. But red wine, it's meant to be drank, after it gets a little bit of air rather quickly.
I don't run into that problem with Scotch or bourbon.
Well, I also found that out the last time we recorded as well.
Oh, that's right. Yes, yeah. I went back and listened to it, and I maybe I didn't hear it in certain points, but I know there were times where I talked slower than I normally do.
Yeah, because we took a large break.
Yes.
In between, obviously a little different setup here, so we only can record segments by the hour. So I think we stopped at the 38-minute to break and set up. I think we had a long conversation, which came with some refilling of beverages, and then we went back to. And I just felt like in the moment, it just felt like it had a very different tone. I couldn't tell as much going back and listening to it. Mm-hmm. But I just remember in the moment, I just remember thinking, wow, this is going to have sound like two different episodes.
There are definitely times where I kind of said stuff and I was like, huh? Or I felt like I talked, my rant was a little bit longer than they normally are.
Yeah, well, it's good, though. It's hashtag content.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, so yeah, like you said, I brought up Master and Commander, and all I was trying to say is I couldn't, and I said it in the course, if you decide to leave this part out, that I admit I can't think of one right now off the top of my head because there are too many good ones, and when we go over our list, I'll prove my point. But I said Master and Commander is one which is not on my list here that gets overlooked because I feel like Russell Crowe and Paul Bettany had a couple moments in that movie. I just like that movie a lot in general.
See, now, my naivety, if you will, I believe that's French for the listeners at home. Uh-huh. I haven't seen Master and Commander.
God, Wes! Yeah. No.
That's not a big Russell Crowe guy.
I'm not a big Russell Crowe guy either, I'm being honest with you, but that movie, when I first saw it, I think I've seen that movie start to finish maybe 4 times.
Wow.
For me, that's quite a bit. I don't think I saw it in theaters, but my dad got it, and I remember watching it as a kid, and I was like, this movie, I can get behind this a lot. It's just different. It feels like there are not different episodes, but to some extent like a different chapter in each one. And I remember trying to read that book as a kid, and it was a little too dense for me. Mm-hmm. But anyways, it just has some. Have you seen the movie, Tim, Master and Commander?
I probably did when it came out. I don't remember it too well.
Okay, well maybe it's just me. I also think that The Longest Ride is a good movie, and I've watched Castlevania more than once. So, what do I know?
Yeah, according to Jim, is an influential TV show.
That's not.
You'll never live that down.
That's false news.
Yeah, again, it's
misremembering of the facts.
It's what it was is if I had to pick a sitcom to insert myself in, it would be according to Jim, because it was fairly normal compared to Seinfeld, where you're dealing with a bunch of nut jobs, or Always Sunny, where they're borderline mentally unstable.
Seinfeld, I would even throw Curb Your Enthusiasm in. I just want to welcome in the crazy antics. I want to be a part of it.
But for real life, I feel like that would stress me out a lot.
That's a great time.
Yeah, maybe
none of them work either. They all just
That's a good point, actually.
Wouldn't you love to just be able to walk around and say whatever you want and
Yeah.
have no consequence? All of those shows that you mentioned, all of that.
Yeah.
Based off of our last episode and what I partook in, I may be more fit for Always Sunny.
Yes.
If we're being honest.
Yeah, sitting right in a bar.
But when we set up for this episode and doing soundtrack and everything, there were a couple things that I had questions about, and Wes and I talked about it because there are scores that, I mean, score and soundtrack, I understand, are not the same thing, but there are some of them where the score and the soundtrack are the same
Kind of
thing.
intersects. Yeah.
Exactly. So there are a couple that I wanted to hit on, but how many would you say you have on your list?
Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 where I actually have some songs to go along with it, and then I have about a handful of others. And some of them kind of go in, obviously, with the renaissance of these musical biopics. That goes hand in hand of kind of reintroducing you to the artist that they're talking about. Your a la Rocket Man's, your
Bohemian
Walk
Rhapsody.
the Lines, your Bohemian Rhapsodies.
Oh, Walk the Line's a good one, too. I forgot about that.
The I'm Not There, the Bob Dylan one. So those ones kind of come to Purple Rain. I know, it's not a biopic on Prince, but
What
I
is
believe
it?
today is the anniversary of the release of Purple Rain.
oh, it's very appropriate.
That's weird. It's the same day as Michael Jackson.
Yeah, well,
that-
yeah.
Wait, but there's a Prince movie?
I believe he stars in it,
Oh, yeah,
but
he's been
not.
in
It's not
multiple
on
movies.
Prince. It's not Prince,
Right. He plays a character.
I understand
Yeah.
him being in a movie, but I'm
But
saying
he made the album Purple Rain. That
so it's a movie he acted in though.
yeah.
Let me clarify what I was saying. So he made movies that some of the albums that he made were soundtracks to the movies because they were musical films.
Gotcha.
So
Right.
Purple Rain was one of those. Under the Cherry Moon. So, and I think he had even another one too that I can't remember the name of. Graffiti Bridge.
Not a big Prince guy personally.
Oh, there's some good stuff there.
I don't know if there's a song that I like
Morris
by him.
Day and the Mother Effing Time. No, that doesn't do it for you.
Maybe I haven't heard it, but I've tried listening to him.
You know Morris Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's much by him that I like.
It's funk. I'm a big funk guy, and you'll kind of notice this too. It's like I'm, a big hip hop fan, but I also love classic rock. Those are like my two genres, and I also love a lot of doo-wop, 50s, Motown type of like jazz, funky kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, I would say funk and hip hop are not the same. They're in the same family, but they're not the same.
No,
thing.
but a lot of it. So it started with my love for hip hop, and the artist's love for like funk, doo wop,
George Clinton. And,
George Clinton.
you go
Yeah,
back and
yeah, exactly.
Where they got
and
the
they're
samples
sampling
from.
it
Yeah.
from, and then I kind of went back and by virtue kind of fell in love with that kind of genre.
I'm
of music.
curious how many we're gonna have crossover. I get the feeling we're gonna have. I'm gonna say 4 that crossover.
Okay. Well, right off the top of my head, like when I think of soundtracks and best soundtracks, there's one that comes to my mind first and foremost. Got to get it off the list.
8 Mile.
Forrest Gump.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's one that goes right in the movie. It's a double disc CD. It reached as high as number 7 on the Billboard Top 200. Came out in '94. Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog. Elvis Presley. I Can't Help Myself, which is Sugar Pie Honey Bunch by the Four Tops. California Dreamin' by the Mamas and the Papas. You got your Mrs. Robinsons. You got your Aquarius. You got your Sweet Home Alabamas.
My favorite song in that movie,
Running
Fortunate Son.
Oh, yes. Yes, thank you. I did not have that on the list. I have Against the Wind, Running on Empty. There's a lot of good stuff there, and obviously it just goes so well with telling the story of Forrest Gump through that. So it's a
And
nice
songs-
character, if you will, in the movie.
Songs that were reintroduced to people that, or introduced to people that might have never heard them outside of that movie.
Exactly. So for me, that was that. Because '94, I was 7, 8. I probably saw it when I was like 9 or 10, somewhere around there. So again, that was like a big introduction to it.
I've seen it once, and I didn't even remember that half of those songs were in there.
Oh, I feel like the music plays such a big role in that movie.
I like Forrest Gump, but I don't know. I just never understood the deep love for him. I'm not a big Hanks guy. I like him, but
Oh, Tom Hanks.
fine.
He has like the most credit. You ever see like we talked about this with Keanu Reeves a little bit, but you ever see the Simpsons movie where they have Tom Hanks in there and they're like, "Hi, I'm Tom Hanks. America's lost all its credibility, so they're buying some of mine."
Yeah. Yes.
America's dad, Tom Hanks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's fine. I mean, I don't know.
It's a great movie. It's funny.
It's a good movie. Great. I don't know if I'd say great movie.
You also enjoy according to Jim. So
it's kind of considered one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah,
I would say
good.
it's a little overrated on how many people love it, but I think it's a great movie.
Yeah, I don't find it rewatchable. That's part of my problem with it.
Well, Bill Simmons would deeply disagree with you.
It's good for Bill
I think
Simmons.
once a year you have to watch.
It's a great movie. It's one of those ones where you
Bill Simmons
put
is
it
another
on
guy
TNT and USA, and you can pick it up at any point in time, and you're happy with it.
Bill Simmons is another guy who I find overrated.
Oh, really? I'm a Bill Simmons fan.
God, that doesn't surprise me.
Well, I like original content. Which is a callback to a conversation we were having before everything aired.
Oh man!
But what do you got? What's the first one on your list?
Oh, so he goes and whatever. Original content I think is also about what we do is original content, but we're talking about what's going on here, what's going on in the world. I mean, we talk about about Keanu Reeves in the news that he's being cast for a role, right? Or possibly cast for a role.
But we're talking. So hopefully, what the idea of that is that people want to come and listen to the opinions and hear about different opinions on that.
Right.
When I go and read a story, I want to read it for the news. I'm not reading it for someone who I don't even know's opinion. I'm tuning in purposefully on the radio or podcast to hear the opinions of the people that I want to hear from.
Gotcha. So you don't care about reading a writer's opinion, is what you're saying?
No. If it's a writer that I want to seek out the opinion of, then yes.
Right. Okay. Well, that's different. I didn't understand that before when we were talking about
I probably didn't explain that all that well.
No, that's fine. I mean, I miss stuff once in a while, too, when we're talking. So that's fair. Okay, I can see the difference there because I personally would prefer that I get some opinion from writers as opposed to just I understand if it's like if it's like Shams.
Sure, yeah.
Or Woj, I just want the straight news from them because they're the ones who are putting it out there first. But then when it's coming from other people, I don't want what Shams and Woj just said. I want like more off of that, people who are familiar with what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so. But that's assuming that the people are familiar with what's going on.
Right. No, I understand that.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're not. Sometimes they are. So that's where it differs. But
yeah.
But anyways, back to what we were talking about. You were
best
going through
movie soundtracks.
Best movie soundtrack. So you had. So yeah, I think that
we'll kind of go tit for tat here.
So you went with. So I'm going to steal one that I know that you have on there too. I did not have Forrest Gump. By the way, actually no.
Okay.
I'll go with this one. I'll go with 8 Mile. So
of
that
course.
features music from Jay-Z, Eminem,
Oh yeah,
50, Nas. I mean, I obviously, "Lose Yourself" is the big song off of that one too.
Of course, won an Oscar for that song. Yeah.
So that one right there, the whole movie is about the music, and I honestly, some of the stuff that it's I don't know what you qualify it as, but the freestyle rap battles.
I used to when I would come home from school, I would put the 8 Mile DVD on, and after flash forwarding a couple through the some of the Brittany Murphy scenes, if you will, I would go right to the end, to the rap battle, and I could probably go like line for line with everyone and just kind of watch. Like, I would watch that final 10 minutes, and that used to get me really hyped up.
That's on YouTube, I think. Now I remember I've definitely watched that a few times, and the other one too. That's just a little line in there when he's fixing his car with is it Future?
Yeah.
When he's
Bradley Cooper, Sweet Home Alabama.
Sweet Home Alabama. Live at home in a trailer, or something like that. But yeah, it's just like I love that. I mean, Eminem can do very little wrong in my eyes, and obviously you're featuring Jay-Z too. I mean,
right?
Come on.
Who for my money is great. I actually am not a huge Eminem fan. I loved Lose Yourself. I liked 8 Mile. I liked the Slim Shady LP. Portions of the Marshall Mathers LP, but that's about it though. Anything after the Marshall Mathers LP, I'm not like,
Okay, I mean that's fine. To each his own. I like Jay-Z a lot too. Obviously, Lucifer is probably my favorite song by him. But yeah. So I mean, did you have 8 Mile on your list?
Yeah. So I had that on others where I haven't got a chance to fill out the whole songs yet.
Gotcha.
But that's something that I did. I want to mention.
Okay. What else you got?
So number 2 on my list that I had written down was Remember the Titans.
Oh.
Again, a little bit of Motown, classic rock mixture. Music plays a big portion in that movie. I think it does a good job of kind of setting the scene and bringing everyone together. Ain't No Mountain High Enough comes to mind off that. I heard it through the grapevine. Both fantastic Marvin Gaye songs. Ain't Too Proud to Beg. And that's I believe that's when they're in the locker room. and you got Louis Lastic in there and kind of singing along, doing everything. I Want to Take You Higher. The Way You Do Your Things You Do. Amazing Grace, which I believe is sung at the end at the funeral of Bertier.
Gary Bertier, yep.
Yeah.
Who's also,
Great stuff.
No, that is a good one. I totally overlooked that one and definitely deserves to be on this list. Then there's, the next one, I'm surprised you haven't gone with this one yet, but Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, sure. That was number 3 on my list.
Okay, so I stepped on that one for you. But Hooked on a Feeling by Blue Suede, that's when they're getting clean, like all like hosed down and everything.
Yeah.
Escape, was it Escape? That's also known as the Pina Colada song.
Right.
By Rupert Holmes. Cherry Bomb by The Runaways.
Yeah.
That one's
I love how you have a tough time reading your own handwriting.
I really had to squeeze it in there, but it is a problem that I run into once in a while. But yeah, that one is from, that's right when they're about to do the final battle right before the start. So yeah, that was huge because then that had an effect on obviously Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. They tried to one up it. I don't think they did it as well.
Not as well. It's still good, but not as well.
And then in Thor Ragnarok, they try and up it too.
Sure.
But they don't, other than Led Zeppelin, it was good, but I don't necessarily in terms of soundtrack, I tried looking it up and it wasn't on the same level.
One thing, Fooled Around and Fell in Love. Another great song. From Guardians of the Galaxy.
Do you remember where that was in the movie? Because I don't know that song.
I want to say it would have to be at a tender moment with Gamora.
Okay.
And that also reached number 1 of the Billboard Top 200. 2014 for a soundtrack to do that in this era says a lot.
Especially a soundtrack of recycled songs.
Right.
Not new stuff.
Yeah. But again, much like we were saying about the Forrest Gump topic, it introduced a lot of this younger, newer generation into some of these, classic songs that maybe their grandparents listened to. Parents at this point. I don't know. Little bit of a smaller list here, but American Pie in 1999, of course. Probably one of our super fans. Favorite movies, Brendan Curie.
Yeah.
Some great songs in there. I think of Blink-182 when he's trying to run home. When he's got the live feed and he has Nadia back in the bed and he's like got the YouTube stream on and he's like, Nadia's naked in their bed, and he's like running back over the bushes, and there's this great song by Blink-182, Mutt. You got New Girl, you get some Third Eye Blind on there, you got some Tonic, so you kind of have that like punk Seattle grunge rock kind of phase going in there, which was more of the early 90s, but I think that kind of captures those kids who are seniors in high school at that point.
Yeah.
Kind of the music that they grew up on. You have Sugar Ray on there. So, Sugar Ray was a band of that time, I think.
I'm not a big Sugar Ray fan, but they definitely got some stuff that bangs on that.
I'm trying to think
soundtrack.
of what's the most popular song.
The most popular one is Fat Lip by Sum 41. Oh, Sugar Ray.
Yeah.
Sugar Ray. Is,
Fat Lip, Sum 41,
sorry.
but Fly.
Yes, that's what you're looking for there, yes.
Yeah, so love that song.
My dad played that song way too much in the car when I was a kid.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
But Sum 41, that's the song that I think of. I got to go back and listen to this album because I forgot that there was some Blink on there too. Totally makes sense. And we were kind of, I know for me, I think Blink was middle school for me. Maybe elementary school. Where was it for you? Do you remember?
So 99, I was born in 87. So
more elementary
there.
For me, more middle school.
But it was just at that point where I was aware of what everything was. So I was starting to get all the jokes. The most part, the pale ale joke was a little above my head. I didn't get that one, but I got most of them, and it was very exciting, maybe for lack of a better term.
It's a great movie. I love that movie.
But it's like that the idea of like sex and hot girls and things like that. That was all like very new to. Like I was just kind of.
That's definitely a middle school.
Perking my ears up to that sort of thing.
That's the rated R movie you sneak around to try and see in middle school,
right?
Because I'm pretty sure that's when I saw it too.
So my brother had that movie on DVD, and I snuck it to go watch it there.
Nice.
Yeah, that was nice there.
So the next one that jumps out for me, well, I'm gonna go with Breakfast Club. Obviously, Don't You Forget About Me is the big song off there. That's the only one that I can recall. But I know I went back and listened to some of the other songs, and it's just the total 80s vibe to every single one of them, obviously coming out in 85. That's what you would expect. And it just goes along so well with the movie. And at every moment, whether it's when they're all getting high and they're partying, or obviously at the end when they're saying bye to each other after they've developed the relationships or grown as individuals. I just think that every single, you talk about how it kind of plays a character in the movie.
Right, yeah.
I just felt like it really reflected well what was going on at each moment in the course of the movie.
I can see so I've seen that movie a handful of times, obviously, and always it's kind of like we were saying about Forrest Gump, is that you can pick it up on TNT or TBS or whatever, USA, and kind of catch it at any point in time. But I don't really remember too many songs from that for some, like none outside of.
You when I went back and looked at it, that's the only one that I would recognize. But I just felt like it played such a good role in the movie.
I love the movie. I got no problems with it.
Would you rather watch that again or Forrest Gump again? Forrest
Gump.
I'd rather watch Breakfast Club.
Yeah. Yeah. See, yeah. Some people find a cucumber to be a better pickle. Yeah.
What's up next for you?
So this one's a personal favorite, although I was very surprised to know that this reached number 5 on the Billboard Top 200 in 1995. Probably a better soundtrack than it was a movie. Batman Forever. Great soundtrack. I got a nice groan from Tim over here.
Great soundtrack.
Of course, the main song off of that is "Kiss by a Rose" or "Kiss from a Rose." So I think that's a like a Bernstein Bears type of thing. Mandela effect.
Yep.
I always say "kiss by a rose." It's "kiss from a rose." Different preposition. Oh. But I always "kiss by a rose" on a grave.
Same concept either way.
Yeah.
It's still the rose kissing you one way or another.
Right. So I love that song.
Most people don't know that song's about his relationship with Betty White.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, "Kiss from a Rose."
Oh, that's interesting.
Rose Nyland from the Golden Girls.
Oh.
I'm just.
Damn you, Tim.
But one of my favorite. For those that don't know, I'm a huge U2 fan.
Of course.
And one of my favorite.
Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me.
That's one of my favorite songs by that band.
Yeah.
And that was a leftover from the Zeropa sessions that they just said, well, you guys can throw it on the soundtrack. And
Became very popular.
Huge song for them.
You get a little Method Man on there, is of course playing the song "The Riddler," who was in that movie. Mm-hmm. And you have "Look Into My Eyes," which was a nice shout out from Mitchie B of By Your Terms, which you're sporting his shirt right there. Mm-hmm. By Bone Thugs and Harmony, which was a great sign of the times, kind of in the era there. Great, not a great movie. I believe Poison Ivy is Batman Forever. I think that's
Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin. Okay.
Batman Forever is a better movie than people give it credit for.
Right, but it's a little cheesy.
It is.
It doesn't go full cheese as Batman and Robin does.
Yeah, that's when Joel Schumacher took over and decided, I'm going to make cartoon movies.
Yeah, exactly. But a little side note on "Kiss from a Rose," one of my go-to karaoke songs.
Really?
Yes. And I owned this soundtrack on cassette as a kid.
Really?
Yes, cassette.
Wow.
Yeah, that tells you a little something. That's a childhood favorite. Yeah.
That tells you a lot.
Oh yeah.
Wow. I couldn't tell you a single song. Like I didn't recognize any of them.
When we get out of here, hop in your car.
I will.
"Kiss from a Rose." You might have a good cry.
I'll just look.
It's a great song.
Really?
Seal's first 2 albums,
fantastic.
Those were my go-to, like Getting Busy.
Oh sure.
CDs.
Yeah.
Prayer for the Dying. Oh yeah, good stuff.
Getting Busy CDs. Really?
Now, as a kid, I put together. Well, not a kid. In like high school, I burned CDs for my friends.
Oh, okay.
That were entitled "Sex Mix 2K Volume 1 Cherry Poppin'." I thought it was very risque and clever on there. That tells you where my clever puns comes from at a young age. I had that in the computer CD-ROM while I was playing that, because that's how you played your music. Then you plugged your headphones into the modem and then listened to it through there. And my mom popped it out and saw it on there with all the different. She's like, "What the hell is this?"
Oh man!
I was like, "It's a joke." She said, "Do you even know what this means?" And I was like, "Probably not."
Yeah, no shot in hell.
But it was a mixture of you had some John Mayer on there, you had some "Kiss from a Rose," you had some Ludacris. "What's Your Fantasy?" Mm-hmm. LL Cool J.
Sounds like the title is appropriate to me.
Right? Yeah. So
Speaking of
I knew what I was doing.
Ludacris, and you brought up Method Man too.
Yeah.
Another soundtrack that it's you talk about the biopics too earlier. Straight Outta Compton.
Oh yeah, of course.
You have NWA, you have Eazy-E doing some solo stuff too. all around. I mean, the
A little
first
Snoop Dogg in there.
Yep,
a little nice cameo.
The 3 songs that you think of from that I think of personally are Straight Outta Compton, Boys in the Hood, and F the Police.
Right.
Obviously, they use the full word.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was just that movie in general was obviously centered around their music, and it's a different era of rap as compared to now what we see where it's
mumble rap.
Even then, that era of rap is totally different from Jay-Z
sure.
coming to his prime.
Well, it's like East Coast versus West Coast. So even when like Biggie and one of the ones I'll get to a little later on, which I'm blanking on their.
There's Biggie's movie too. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, Notorious. Yeah.
Yep, Notorious.
But I wasn't a big fan of Notorious though.
I only saw it once. I can't remember much of it.
Yeah, it was kind of a forgettable. Definitely didn't have the lore of pulling you in like Straight Outta Compton did.
I totally forgot about that. Straight Outta Compton was a pretty good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But on those heels though, one of a new Marvel movie. Black Panther.
That's on my list too. But
Kendrick Lamar essentially manning that whole album. You have what's his name there, the R&B singer, The Weeknd, getting some star tracks on there.
That guy's a monster.
Yeah, unbelievable.
He is jacked out of his mind.
Is he jacked? I thought he was just kind of like a big.
If I'm thinking of the right dude, then yeah,
hefty guy. Like he has like the weird hair. He was dating Bella Hadid for a while.
I might be thinking of the wrong person.
The Weeknd's kind of hefty.
Oh.
Yeah, he's just a big frame.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'm thinking of then.
Yeah.
I thought it was The Weeknd.
Suge Knight?
No. Suge Knight's not jacked. Suge Knight's just a big dude. Like I remember him being fat. But anyways, but yeah. So that one I had on my list too, and I was really disappointed that was more so, one of those soundtracks where it's not in the movie as much. You got bits and pieces of the songs, but there were some bangers in there, and it's just we're getting and I have a few scores written down, but it's like that's all we're getting in this movie. Give me the actual friggin' music that you guys had produced by Kendrick.
Well, they had a couple in there.
A couple, but and there wasn't even...
Yeah, at the end, one of the main ones, and all you see is I'm blanking on the song. I should have done more research on this, but you get one of the main Kendrick Lamar tracks in there. There's another scene where they are entering the casino, and they have a Weekend song in there.
There are a couple that are in there, but even then, I felt like you just didn't get the full effect of it. I guess I could be wrong. No, I don't know. I'm bummed. I thought that what's his face was jacked. I guess I was wrong. I'm trying to find.
He's a big body.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought I saw someone sent it to me, but anyways, whatever. So that's just life. So you had Black Panther. Let's see, Space Jam.
Oh, of course, another Seal favorite.
And the biggest one, obviously, being the song Space Jam.
Right.
I mean, everybody knows that song.
Or I Believe I Can Fly by R. Kelly.
I Believe I Can Fly.
Yeah, that's a great pull right there.
Number one and number two right there. I mean, iconic.
Yeah, absolutely. He Got Game. Speaking of basketball movies, 1998, debuted at number 26, never got any higher than that on the Billboard Top 200. Great renaissance of Chuck D, of course, of Public Enemy fame. So that was probably right around the time of NWA, maybe Nick or
was that a Chuck D solo or was that a Public Enemy song? I thought it was a PE song.
So it's mostly. I'm not sure how heavily involved Flavor Flav was at the time.
I mean, I guess if it's Terminator X and Chuck D, you can still call it.
Yeah. I think it was mostly Chuck D. I Got Game, You Got Game, She Got Game, We Got Game. Mm-hmm. Great song. Again, one of those movies where if you own the DVD, you zero in on certain portions of that movie without. If you know what I'm talking about.
Kind of a callback to your Forrest Gump pick too,
right? Because
it samples Buffalo Springfield's.
Yes, absolutely. You don't know what I'm talking about though with the certain scenes in that. You haven't seen it. You Got Game. You should see it. It's a good
I've heard
one.
of it.
I've seen it a long time. Ray Allen is a surprisingly good actor.
Rick Fox is taking Ray Allen, Jesus Shuttlesworth, on a tour of, I don't know if it's a big state university or whatever school he's going to, or maybe going to at this point. Takes him to a college party, allows him into a dorm room. In the dorm room are two busty blondes laying on the bed, scantily clad, if you will. And then you go from there. But as a kid, that's an eye-opening.
Where do you go from there?
A to B. It gets graphic.
That's when you realize, damn, I wish I had been able to play basketball.
In French, I believe they refer to as a ménage à trois.
Does this have to do with that cherry poppin' stuff you were talking about before?
It's a callback to it.
Okay.
It's certainly a callback.
And then kind of like the stuff that happens in American Pie?
You could, yes.
All right. I just need you to spell it out for me a little bit.
Okay, I was going to say, you're coming off very much like an incel right now.
Yeah, I wasn't...
He don't got game.
I'm trying to help you out here, you know?
I don't know. I don't know how it all works with women and the birds and the bees thing.
Yes.
It's a whole different podcast.
Yeah, no, that's a, I'm not even sure if we're in the safe harbor to be able to say all that stuff. I don't think anybody speaks French here, though, so I think we're okay.
Yeah, I think we're good. So I don't have a lot of songs off of this next one, but I know that if for our female listeners, I would assume, or at least any listeners that are parents, "Let It Go" from Frozen,
of course,
is a song that deserves mentioning.
Yeah,
I love that song. But the next one I want to mention. I don't know if I'll go with Lion King first.
I was going to say I completely overlooked a lot of the Disney ones.
Right. Well, you mentioned Aladdin before when you said it was either Aladdin or Rocket Man that you were going to see this past weekend.
Yeah.
And Aladdin obviously has some great songs too, but Lion King is "Can You Feel the Love Tonight," Hakuna Matata.
Sir Elton John.
Yeah, I think that's far and away the best Disney soundtrack.
Yeah.
I loved Lion King as a kid, and I guess
Can't Wait to Be King.
And I as a kid apparently this is my dad's told this story because he's the one that took me to the movies all the time. I think I saw it 5 or 7 times in theaters as a kid.
I can believe that.
Which is a little insane that my dad would allow that, and my mom.
Yeah. But it's a safe movie to go to. If the kid likes it, the kid likes it, you know?
I was like 16, 17. I think I saw it that many times because the girl I was dating wanted to go see it like every weekend.
Oh, well, there you go.
And I was like, well, are you paying? All right, then I'll go.
Wow.
Nice.
So we didn't have a great relationship.
That sounds actually pretty good to me.
I don't know what's wrong with that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
My dad said that by the time it was like the 3rd or the 4th movie, I was singing all the words to it.
Of course, yeah. There's a lot of other things you could have been addicted to at that age.
This is true. Yeah.
Fentanyl, chief among them. You know, it's a very dangerous drug. The PSA, don't
pop some fentanyl. Says Hakuna Matata. You know.
Yeah, if you happen to be in the back of an ambulance, always go Tylenol. Never go with the fentanyl.
Okay. Good to know. I'll keep that in mind.
Very addictive.
Okay, but Aladdin's one that you like too, right?
Yes, so I loved Aladdin. Not obviously as much as The Lion King, but I think it's right up there as one of my favorite Disney movies.
Okay, Lion King's your number one with that era.
Yeah. I think that's easy. And then when you start getting into like Toy Story, obviously not so much of the musical aspect of things, but if we're just talking Disney movies, that kind of broke the mold as well.
That's different. Yeah, I'd say it's a little bit of a different era.
Right,
Disney,
that's the Pixar and everything that it moved into.
I separate Pixar from Disney,
but it's Disney Pixar.
Even though it is, I still separate them.
Yeah. Some other ones that I had, obviously, a recent one, and you had mentioned Frozen. What I really enjoy is when you have actors and actresses who can sing and carry their own tune. So while Bohemian Rhapsody might conjure up and kind of reopen the catalog to a new audience and reintroduce it to a new audience, Rami Malek, as we outlined on this podcast here, doesn't sing. It's all dubbed over. So I have it on here, but it's almost like
I have it on here too
for an homage to the great catalog of Queen.
Right.
What I do put on here though is A Star Is Born, because much like what's Kristen Bell.
Yeah.
Of course you have Lady Gaga in there, but you have Bradley Cooper singing their own soundtrack, and again, obviously a movie that is very musically centric. Great soundtrack. I love, how Bradley Cooper was able to teach himself how to play guitar, teach himself how to sing. Obviously had help with, I believe it's Lucas Nelson, in writing the songs, or he just flat out wrote the songs.
Lucas Nelson.
Yeah.
Writing this, being a songwriter versus being a singer, two very different things.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, that's something that I've loved, and I actually have that album on my iTunes, Apple Music.
Really?
Yeah.
I still haven't seen that movie.
Oh, it's a tough one.
Shame.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
So yeah,
I know you're not a big dog person, but there's a scene with the dog that hits really home.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I think I'll probably get more emotionally torn by the love story that's involved in all that, right? That's in there as well. Yeah. That definitely gets you. But there's one scene. Tim, have you seen Star Is Born? Oh, yeah. It's a scene with the dog. That's all. You can spoil it for me. It's okay. I'm not gonna. I honestly, Wes, I probably won't cry over the dog scene. I don't mean to be mean.
Well, he kills himself because he knows how detrimental he is to Lady Gaga's career, and he's a drunk and an addict.
The
dog is?
No, the guy is. So
Okay.
so Bradley Cooper. So he hangs himself in the garage, but you never see it happen. You just see the dog sitting outside of the garage.
Wait a minute. The dog part I was saying you can spoil for me, not the...
You said to spoil it. That's why it's so sad.
The dog scene, not the
That's the
movie.
scene.
Well, that's
you don't see him in there.
But
You
if
see
you
the
had-
dog
but if you had-
lying down, and he knows that he kills Bradley Cooper kills himself.
Oh my God!
You told me to. I wasn't gonna. That's all I was gonna say. You brought it on yourself.
God. No, I have to see what you're saying. What the frig, man? I mean, look. At the end of the day, I'll be fine. I've waited this long to see it.
That's on you,
in
man.
In that sense,
We're a spoiler podcast.
we're a spoiler podcast. But when I say you can spoil that scene for me,
That's the scene.
that's assuming that the scene isn't going to spoil the entire movie,
Well,
which it clearly does.
I said I wasn't gonna tell you it. So
Yeah.
you're assuming that.
Then it's well, that's where you say, Nick, it's gonna spoil the movie for you. Then I say, oh, well, okay, I don't want to hear it then. Tim, am I wrong in my line of thinking here?
Just the mundane scene with the dog in it. Just tell me about that scene. You know?
Thank you. That's right.
To be fair,
You sound like a whiny Charlie Cox.
To
right
be
now.
fair-
That's fine. That's what I am, Charlie.
to be
Cox.
fair, you asked for him to spoil it, but also mischievous grin. You knew that when you told him that you'd be essentially
Fine, well,
ruining the
fine.
whole
You want to
movie.
know? Okay, fine.
Right.
You
So
reap what
both-
you sow.
You're
young
both at
man.
fault. Next soundtrack.
Why am I Charlie Cox?
Because you're
Because
whining.
you were whining.
No, I'm drawing a blank on who the hell Charlie Cox is right now. Why am I having?
It's Daredevil. We were talking about this earlier in the podcast.
No, I know. That's why I'm asking you. I can't remember.
You have him so up. He's so flustered now.
Yeah, I am. Because because there's no feel on that decision.
You asked for it.
I did, but I didn't know I was asking for it.
Yeah.
For you, as someone with a functioning brain, says to me, Nick, it's gonna ruin the movie for you. That's why I'm not gonna tell you.
No, you told me you wanted me to tell you, so I'm going to tell you. I'm going to
Not knowing
acquiesce.
what I was asking
well,
for.
you know, that's on you, pal.
You're the adult here in this situation. You're older than me. You're more mature than I am.
Well, that's debatable.
You are older than me. There's no debating that.
There's no debating that.
Okay.
By the way, that's going to be the moment that, like, you have to use to share what this podcast is about.
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Like,
is it?
that is-
Because
that's your
that
greatest
sends out the
marketing
whole
right there.
spoiler.
No, I'm gonna beep it out.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I'll beep it out. Don't worry. I'll parse.
Because then you'll just be fulfilling the thing that you're mad at me about.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this for the first time,
'Cause
this is what Change My Mind is all about.
Yeah.
Yeah. That should be the.
This is it. That's it
yeah,
right there. You're welcome.
Yeah. So Bohemian Rhapsody, you already said. I'm not. I mean, look. I'm not gonna. I mean, look. The scores. I'll just hit on those really quickly because we're not gonna hit on scores ever in the course of an entire
Right,
podcast.
and yeah, I'm no Tchaikovsky here or anything like that.
So
That's a good pull, right?
yeah, the Lord of the
Pat
Rings.
on the back.
That's the guy who did the Nutcracker, right? Or is that someone else?
That's Tchaikovsky.
Tchaikovsky.
That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
I figured.
See, I got you.
Either that or a hockey player I just didn't know.
Yeah, Keith Kachuk. You know, it's kind of like the same pronunciation.
Actually, I know
What a
Keith
fool.
Kachuk.
Peter Forsberg.
Yeah. Well, Kachuk, Tchaikovsky. You know, it's like a.
Ray Bork.
You get all that.
I'm trying to think of other hockey players. Anyways,
Yeah.
but Lord of the Rings. I mean, you have whenever you have orcs being brought into it. Yeah, the what is it? The battle at the end of Fellowship of the Ring, where the Uruk-hai are coming. Like, I love the music there. There are a lot of moments in the course of the whole series. Star Wars, obviously,
I was going to say, yeah, that's a great one there.
probably number one.
As far as scores and yeah.
Maybe number two to Jaws. Probably number two.
Jaws
to Jaws
is kind of one-hit wonder.
Well, you also
But,
have,
I
if
mean,
you're talking
Tim-
about that too, it's Halloween.
Halloween. Okay.
You know, the Michael Myers.
Yeah. Yep. That's that. Yeah. Those are huge. And the other one that I love too is Pirates of the Caribbean. Mm-hmm. They got some good stuff in there too. The main theme is fun.
The Back to the Future theme does more for me than Star Wars does.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
More than Star Wars.
Now, so I know when I said if you had any thoughts on movie soundtracks, that was the first thing you mentioned. Is there any that you'd like to mention at this time?
Well, there's a few that I think you guys probably won't mention, especially...
Well, because you're old, so.
Well, especially knowing Nick's not liking Prince now, but actually just released on this day 30 years ago, Batman. Oh, was this day or yesterday?
Oh, it was recently. Yeah,
But
yeah,
Batman,
Batman
the
Ignite.
first Batman
Of course.
soundtrack was all done by Prince. And when we found out about that, we're like, Prince, Batman,
Right.
that doesn't fit.
But it really did.
It really did. It worked out very well. So that's a great one. The Crow was a pretty monumental soundtrack of the 90s.
And just to go back to Batman, you also have the Danny Elfman score of that too,
absolutely.
which was brought back in was it BVS or Justice League? I can't remember, but they brought that back for that as well. But anyway,
so and then you also have the Crow, which highlighted by Stone Temple Pilots' Big Empty, but also had the Cure and there was so many Pantera, so many bands of that era on there. The single soundtrack, which was Cameron Crowe's movie about the Seattle grunge scene.
Okay.
So you have a lot of the Seattle bands on there, very instrumental to the movie. And then one of my favorite soundtracks of all time, very overlooked movie, and certainly a very overlooked soundtrack. But the name of the movie is Eddie and the Cruisers.
I know the movie. Yeah, I know the movie. I haven't seen it.
And the band
is Tom Cruise in that?
No, it's Michael Pare.
No,
it's all no-name actors, really.
I know that movie.
In fact, one of the actors, the guy who plays the saxophone player, is actually the guy from the band that did the soundtrack.
Okay.
The whole soundtrack was put together by John Cafferty and Beaver Brown, which was a band out of Rhode Island. And
nice.
They had a New Bedford
like
guy as their saxophone player.
Love it.
And it's very much a Southside Johnny, Bruce Springsteen, E Street Band, 70s, boardwalk type of vibe to it. Great soundtrack. I mean, and I think it hit number 1 on the charts.
Okay.
The soundtrack actually was far more popular than the movie.
I like that. Okay.
So worth checking out. On the Dark Side, Tender Years.
Some good pulls there. Wes, did you have any more? Because there were only
go with a couple because I want to pull up something here real quick that I just thought of.
Okay, so I have. You want me to go with a couple?
Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
the last two that I have, I actually have one TV show, and this is a little bit random, but Sons of Anarchy. I know that they have songs from the first 4 seasons available on iTunes. There's the intro song, This Life, which is, oh man, I love that song. And they did at one point, they did like an Irish version of it too, because the show was in Ireland at one point. Then there's John the Revelator, Slip Kid, and then they do another rendition, I guess, of House of the Rising Sun, which has been done a couple times. I think Green Day has another version of that, but with New Orleans and the Superdome.
Yep.
And then the other one that I want to mention, the last one for the movies, which is kind of a random one, but Talladega Nights, you have Coach Eyes by Audio Slave.
I was Coaches?
Coaches, I don't know.
Yeah.
Coaches.
Yeah.
What is Coaches? I don't know.
It's a name that they used to use for Native Americans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It might have actually been a Native American's name, but it's also a generic term for Native Americans.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Is it like an appropriate term still these days? Or no?
It's more like kind of like it's not that it's not an insult, but it's just kind of like, hey, Coaches.
Oh.
Like that's
Okay, but the Audio Slave obviously has the lead singer from Rage Against the Machine.
No.
It's the band Rage Against the Machine.
and the
with-
Lion
it's the
one.
guitar player from Rage Against the Machine.
And then it has the
I don't know if maybe the drummer too.
I thought it was most of the band.
I don't think
think
it's the
you're right,
whole
Wes.
band.
Yeah.
You're right. And then the one with remember the Lion or something like that? There's a band that has the singer.
Yeah, Zach De La Rocha was in One Day as a Lion?
One Day as a Lion. That's it.
Yeah.
So I got it backwards. I apologize. But then there's Kickstart My Heart by Motley Crue, Faithfully by Journey, and then the French version of Paint It Black is what I call that other song.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I got that. Okay.
What was it that you wanted to...
So, mentioned briefly Walk the Line, but as I mentioned with A Star Is Born or even Rocket Man, which I just recently saw, which I loved, you have Taron Egerton there singing, doing his own version of a lot of Elton John songs, which, again, big Elton John fan as a kid. My dad actually saw his one of his first American concerts as he opened up for the Eric Clapton, Derek and the Dominoes in some like podunk town in like upstate New York where he grew up. I think it was like around the Rochester area actually. And no music had come over, none of his singles had reached the States yet, so no one knew who he was. And everyone's like, who's this flamboyant guy rocking out on the piano going nuts? And then like a couple months later it came out. So in the movie, they don't really highlight that specific concert, but his first introduction in America was like very similar to that way. And again, it's just a very fun movie, very kind of surreal, but Taron Egerton knocks it out of the park. He probably won't get an Oscar. He'll probably get nominated. He should get nominated. I think he probably deserves to win in the early stages here, but after Rami Malek, I think it was tough to go back to back with those like similar type performances. But the same thing with Walk the Line. You have Joaquin Phoenix and Reese Witherspoon, who both sang and acted in those movies. So I loved that. And obviously that reintroduced me to some Johnny Cash because I'm not really a big country fan outside of the Nine Inch Nails cover of Hurt. which I absolutely love by Johnny Cash. That's fantastic.
He's got some good ones.
Dangerous Minds soundtrack with Michelle Pfeiffer. But the Coolio song, Gangsta's Paradise.
Oh.
Been spending most of our lives living in. I remember my brother and I believe we, as a kid, acted out like music videos to that song in our living room.
Flip over the chair and sit down in it.
Yeah.
You know, if I remember right, Coolio was against his song being used in that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was like, of course, sparked. What's the Weird Al song?
Amish Paradise.
Amish Paradise.
And then there was beef between them because, but then it turns out like, looking back, it turns out that it was probably all staged.
Right, which is a good way to kind of, churn up some revenue and a little bit of attention for yourself. Last, the one I wanted to look up, this is from the 1996 comedy, also starring America's Dad, Tom Hanks, That Thing You Do.
Best song ever in a movie.
Fantastic,
ever.
Right? Yeah, by the Wonders, of course.
You did not see that movie and not sing that song for a week after.
Fantastic. But again, it's a kind of 50s early rock, doo-wop sort of Motown type of feel to it. Obviously, it's white guys doing it, but you kind of get that kind of feel for it, right? They're all super cool, wearing the same suits with the Ray-Ban glasses and everything.
And if I remember right, it's the only song that you hear in the movie.
I believe that's right.
You hear like little bits and pieces of other songs, but it's the only song that you hear in the soundtrack. And it's just, I saw that movie in the Dartmouth Mall, and I immediately left the theater and went to the record store and bought the cassette.
Oh, nice. Nice. I love that. One of my favorite things was, as a kid, was going to, whether it was FYE or I'm trying to think of what other major. Strawberries was another good one. And going to the top 20 rack and seeing like who was climbing and who was like low. Because you couldn't just like go on the internet and look it up at that point. Like,
nope.
That was like one of my favorite things.
Words and Music. That was the place that had my heart.
Okay. All right.
Late great.
I love that. So that wraps up my list. I'm sure we're missing some. If you have any out there,
let us know at Change Our Mind Pod on Twitter. And by all means. So that brings us to my list is concluded as well. That brings us to our 3v3, which Tim has not gotten a chance to partake in one of these yet. So for those who've been listening to the show and maybe missed last week, although by the numbers, a lot of people didn't miss last week. We have changed over from a 2v1 format, at least for now, to a 3v3 format where we have 3 characters on each side. And we're picking who's going to win the battle because I felt like I was getting in a bit of a rut where that third character just wasn't what
the odd man out.
Exactly. So I'd rather have it where we have 6 characters involved, which is going to lead to overlaps sometimes, but there's a lot of characters out there. But we can throw in some bad ones in there to affect things. So on one side, we don't really have many weak ones in the course of this week. So on one side, we have Jango Fett. Of course, I say a bad one in Jango Fett.
Yeah.
Riot from the Venom movie, obviously a symbiote.
But Jango Fett is probably better than Boba Fett. Boba Fett doesn't really do much. He's a very, very cool character, but he doesn't really do much, right? Doesn't he always fail, like in everything he does?
I mean, he helps them capture Han Solo. He helps the Empire capture Han Solo.
He gets away.
Vader's there too. He gets away. He ends up dying because Luke and everything with the Sarlacc pit. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you look at it that way, Jango Fett was better than Boba Fett because he fought
The Legend of Boba Fett was bigger than the actual character.
The Legend of Boba Fett, 100%. The Legend of Boba Fett is definitely bigger than his father. Although his father was a badass too. Just in the course, they both died in the first movies you see him in. Actually, Boba Fett lived in 2 movies. But anyways, then Riot from Venom. Then we have Batman. Obviously, everybody knows who that is. On the other side, we have Raven from DC Comics. Many know her from Titans and Teen Titans. Then there's Carnage, who's also a symbiote. And was it Woody Harrelson is expected to play him eventually
with his red clown hair piece?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's
the Ronald McDonald hair.
Not terribly inaccurate. And then Darwin from X-Men First Class. So for those who don't remember him, he died because Wes initially couldn't remember him, and he was the first character to die in that movie when Kevin Bacon's character comes and tries to take away some of the First Class measures. He does with the girl who was, I believe, was a stripper, and she could fly. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
She ended up leaving with him, and he ended up killing Darwin by throwing, like a ball of energy into his mouth. And then Darwin has the ability to reactive evolution is his power. So he can like change the skin into metal, stone, all this kind of stuff. So my question, Wes, do you want to go first, or do you want Tim to pick a side first?
Okay, so let me just make sure I got this. So we got Jango Fett, we got Batman, and we got Riot.
Yes.
Against Raven
from DC. Yep. And then we have Carnage. And then Darwin.
See, now, my initial thought when I put this on Twitter is I thought Carnage would be a great defensive utility because he can do almost just about anything. And he's crazy. He's a little bit of a loose cannon.
A little bit.
And Darwin, again, very defensive in his abilities as well, being able to create pretty much going as hard as stone, hard as a rock. Rock hard, if you will.
Rock hard, yeah.
And Raven, from your explanation, is like bit of telepathy, telekinesis, manipulation, mind manipulation. She can fly.
Got some underworld. She's got some connections to hell and everything like that too, and demons. She might be the most powerful character here.
So I think just through the process of the elimination, that initially caught my eye because Batman, although a master detective, I don't know how much detective work he's going to be doing in this because if it's like a 3-on-3 in the middle of like an open field sort of thing, he's there. Now, he's got cool gadgets. He's got cool weapons. He has amazing resources. But he's kind of limited. He doesn't have any powers.
No. Oh, yeah, right.
I think Riot, is a formidable foe. But I hate that guy in that movie.
Fair enough.
I think he's a huge dweeb. I don't think I can be on his side.
I think it's a great... Seriously, I'm not even... dead honest. I think it's a great movie to go against. Reason to go against a character, just because he's so friggin' annoying. What were you gonna say, Tim?
I was gonna say the real Riot isn't attached to that guy.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, if you're basing it on the movie guy, then yeah.
Based on whatever you want. That's fine. I'm not as familiar with Riot. I'm not a big Venom guy.
This is my 3v3.
No,
I'm 3v3.
No, I'm just asking for. I'm just putting it out there for clarification purposes.
And then who was in Jango Fett? I'm not a big Star Wars guy. I could throw him to the side. So I want the defensive utility with the possibility of Carnage just losing his control and just going nuts on everybody.
Yeah, because it could end up being where Carnage is alone at the end here. Tim, which side are you taking?
That's the same reason I'm taking that same team because Carnage just bites everybody's heads off.
Yeah.
So you're taking Carnage's team.
Yeah, no, I'm taking Carnage. He's going to kill his own teammates, too.
Right, that'll probably happen. And then I have to be, that's going to buy me enough time to get the hell out of wherever that is.
So we're going, it's really a 3v2v1.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So before I give my my choice in this, we have Dr. Joe Gilmore, Backcracker on Twitter.
Of course.
Darwin is a nerd. Team Batman all day. We have Pop Goes the Culture at PGTC Podcast. Batman wins. Batman always wins. And
it's good. It's a strong point. I mean, Batman is the most compelling case in that group.
Which is why
I think he's the weakest link in that whole group.
Yeah, but there's a lot of love for him. Though. A lot of people.
Jango Fett can fly.
Well, Batman can do whatever the hell he wants.
Got grappling guns.
This is unbelievable. Batman has his name. See, you know what's funny is when Christian Bale first took on Batman, everybody was like, oh, Batman this, Batman that. And me being the a-hole that I am, I was like, all right, guys, like, I get it. Batman can't lose. Like, what makes him so cool? But now everybody wants to see Batman lose all the time because nobody wants that character who, as much as he's relatable in a way because he's a human being, people don't like how smart he is and how he is unstoppable. I like that about him now. I appreciate Batman a lot the I used to.
I don't. It's not that I don't. I'm just saying like in that particular grouping, I find him to be the one that has the weakest.
What is Batman's greatest strength? His brain,
mind.
Right? What's gonna, dude? I've seen Deadpool.
But how good is his mind if Carnage has already eaten it?
I've seen Deadpool take on Carnage. You're telling me Batman can't kick his ass? Come on. Let's be real.
Yeah, but Deadpool can regenerate.
That's not why Deadpool's kicking his ass. Deadpool's kicking his ass because he figures out that sound is going to go and throw off a symbiote, and it's very simple. Boom.
Okay, well, that's a strong argument, but then you're also taking out one of your strongest teammates.
I understand, right? That's a problem.
And then you still have to deal with Raven.
I'm sure Batman is figuring out how it's not going to affect Riot or how he can contain it in the course of the fight so it doesn't impact Riot.
See,
Raven's the biggest.
That's a strong point on the sound.
Thank you.
Strong point.
Raven is the biggest X factor in the course of all because she is the most powerful. She's smart, but she can be emotional at times. I think she can also be not emotional at all. But I think that she is the biggest problem. She was not originally in this format, but I honestly, I stacked the deck on that other side. I think Darwin is, I think personally, if I'm power ranking this, Jango Fett's probably 6, Darwin's probably number 5 in the course of this all. I just think Batman with prep time, he doesn't lose. I mean, we've seen it now in writing more often where he runs into adversity and struggles. I've seen it now with some of the new stuff in the DC Black Label, was it Last Night on Earth? But I just can't imagine Batman losing in this fight. And normally how we interpret him. But anyways, so we always have those come out on Thursday. If you guys have an opinion, let us know at Change My Mind Pod. We always retweet if you guys are looking for a little extra pub. And
get that clout up, baby. Clout chase.
Exactly. Now, I'm going to go with my On My Mind first because it's going to be quick, and I really want to hear what Wes has to say about Rocket Man. So for those watching on the YouTube, the 1420 WBSM YouTube stream, you've already seen this shirt that I wear. You guys know that I wear shirts, like graphic T-shirts all the time.
Yeah. No hat today, though.
No, I forgot it.
And a day, no less, where you could have used it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I left.
Don't want to mess up that TV hair, that great TV hair that you got.
Thanks. Yeah, I had to go up to Brandeis today, and it threw me off completely. So, anyways, but this shirt that I have, and I have another one that I tweeted out about, I will be wearing that probably next time, is from By Your Terms, our friend Mitchie B on Twitter. You can order their shirts by emailing them, shopwithbyt@gmail.com. Buyyourterms.com is their website. They also, I got it on Etsy personally, and I know they have a store on there, just shirts By Your Terms, but they got good stuff, good prices on their shirts.
It looks great. They got some great screen printing there. It's very clean.
So for those
very simple. Yeah,
for those who are audio based with this show, this one reads, "Welcome to New Asgard." What does it say? Please drive slowly. Please drive slowly. Yes.
Which if you're familiar, New Asgard is from, of course, Avengers Endgame. Mm-hmm. Now, the leader of the king of the Asgardians, the queen, if you will, is, why am I blanking? Valkyrie.
Yes, that is correct. And I also got another one, Han Solo Space Cowboy, as my...
very nice.
So I'll wear that next time.
I'll be excited for that one.
Yeah, but what I'm excited about is your take on Rocket Man, because I knew you were excited about this.
Yes, Rocket Man. So I've become a big fan of Taron Egerton recently, and as soon as I heard that this movie was coming out, I remember seeing the extended trailer where they play the Rocket Man music video of Taron actually singing and playing and recording it, and you kind of see the behind the scenes look. And then they show him at Dodger Stadium, which they show in the trailer and everything. Mm-hmm. I immediately wanted to see this movie. I thought it was going to be great. Again, big Elton John fan. And they just go through such a great job. I think the guys at Mac and Goo podcast kind of really summed it up great. Maybe it was Mac in particular. It's what Bohemian Rhapsody should have been. They explored, all of his taboo lifestyles. Obviously, being a gay man at a time that wasn't really, accepted. It was supposed to be shunned. And then no one really, there were rumors of it, but no one really ever questioned, despite how flamboyant that he was. I also didn't realize that he had 5% of the total music sales in the world at certain points in time.
Really?
He accounted for 5% of it, which was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
He took the world by storm, came from a horrible family, which I love. It doesn't exactly follow his life from what I was told. It kind of jumps around. It definitely has some surreal aspects to it. Mm-hmm. At one point, he turns into a rocket, a physical rocket, and he's shooting off into space. So it's kind of on the musical type of feel.
Okay.
Which, again, just to kind of jump back into some movie soundtracks, Grease and Saturday Night Fever would probably be on there just out of, the impact that they had at the time. But anyway, fantastic movie. My most favorite movie I've seen to date. It has been the most enjoyable movie experience of the year.
This has?
Yes.
Over Endgame?
Yeah, because my thought process was Endgame, when I say enjoyable movie experience of the year, Endgame was very stressful. It wasn't as, it's obviously serious. The tone is much different. They have light moments. But this, while it does deal with some low points in his life and everything, is really just a fun, upbeat movie, I would say, for the majority of it.
So the end game was stressful because you were worried about...
Because it was the stakes. The stakes were so high. So you come in, obviously, the anticipation is building for a year after seeing Infinity War. You're waiting for it. You're wondering what's going to happen. You're invested into all these characters. This, I just came in wanting to be entertained.
Okay. So that was the other thing I was most curious about. So you went in there with expectations, and I would like a rating on this out of you too.
Yeah.
So you went in with expectations. Would you say your expectations were met?
Yeah, exceeded.
Exceeded. Okay, so what?
And I had high expectations. I could get solid 98. Fantastic movie. The little kid Elton John is great. Like I said, Taron Egerton is great. Like everyone's. It's just I really enjoy it. I could go back and watch it again. It's a fun, enjoyable movie.
And you're an Elton John guy too, so that's so it's that's a convincing 98 too. That's wow.
Yeah, so I think if we're going back, Endgame was a 96 for me.
Yeah. I'm stunned that it was that big. That was.
I loved it. Again, I might be a little bit more biased, a little bit more prone coming in being an Elton John fan.
No, but if anything, Wes, it's like someone who reads the book.
Yeah.
It's like I have a set of expectations, and you better freaking meet
I
them.
thought he did a good job. And like when I showed the initial trailer / music video to my fiance, Julia, who made her podcast debut last week,
right?
She had said, he sounds different. Like I'm not sure if I'm into it. She was completely blown away by it. Had a great time. We had a few drinks in us beforehand. Brought a few nips in, had a good time.
When do you not bring nips into a movie?
It's very rare.
Right,
It's
exactly.
very rare. Always do. So, that adds to the enjoyment factor of it. But, going back, Taron Egerton, who also starred in Kingsman.
Yeah, which I haven't seen yet.
With the second one where Elton John comes in as a cameo. So that's where I think this kind of started. So when he had a conversation about playing Elton John, he talked to Elton John, and they said, don't try to be like me, make it your own. Don't try to like sound exactly like me. So just kind of be yourself and kind of let the role kind of come in. And of course, he adopts a lot of mannerisms and a lot of things. And what's really great is that they recreate like all of the costumes and everything that he wore, and from like different iconic photos and different iconic concerts.
Do they have the boots from Tommy?
Could be. So
like the fish had like fish tanks in them, I think.
I believe so.
He did Pinball Wizard.
Not the not fishing them, but they had like high platform boots and shoes with like the high heels and everything. But at the end, they show when the credits are rolling, like a picture from the original photograph of Elton John next to like a screenshot from the movie of Taron Egerton wearing the same thing in the scenes, and it's like perfect. It's just great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is there anything else about the movie that I should know or that you wanted to share? Because I
like ruining the ending.
Well, yeah, right. Well, he.
Here, a couple spoilers for you. One, it turns out he's gay.
Yeah,
what?
that's it. But he marries a woman for a little bit of time.
I had heard that. Yeah. No, it's okay. Is there anything that you wanted? I mean, warning. Is there anything that you wanted to spoil from the movie?
Yeah, he doesn't write his own songs.
That was a spoiler.
Yeah.
That's a spoiler.
Well, I didn't know that actually. That was like one thing I didn't know.
Oh, okay. I think I heard it somewhere else. I don't know why. So yeah, that is not a big deal.
Well, we had said it earlier in the episode too.
Oh, maybe yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
That was like 2 hours ago. Though,
I feel like I'd heard it somewhere else. But anyways, so that's gonna wrap things up for this show. Next week, Wes, we had talked about
We've done Toy Story 4, which I we could do.
But you don't seem into it. I mean,
I like the basketball idea.
So okay.
Best basketball movie draft. A character.
So you want to do okay. So the idea I had was
starting 5, head coach, 6-man.
I'm fine with that. Or do we do it where we take like the comic book characters, now obviously movies, whatever, and we draft them?
Oh, that could be interesting.
We could always do one now and do another later. We did the other way first, so maybe we do your way first.
Let's do that.
Okay,
yeah.
We'll do your way first.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so we're going to do a draft of basketball movie characters next week in lieu of NBA free agency starting up.
Yes, of course.
Cannot wait for my life to get even busier.
Yeah, I love when we intersect things,
Of course. All right.
Intersection.
Until next week, then?
Yeah, I'd say so.